I can't stop it from killing us.
Hello, everybody. Oh no, we have 2 people who swapped already. Well, there we go. All right, everybody is in the right place.
We thrive.
There we go. We try.
Hey, this kind of reminds me of that Kabuto puzzle you spent so long lovingly doing, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, how was that?
First off, it's Kabuto, not Kabata. Thank you very much.
She said Kabuto.
And yes, it was really hard. Okay.
As in
God.
Naruto.
That's a lot of talk for a guy who couldn't complete a puzzle that 5-year-olds could have done.
Ooh, shots fired from Mario already.
I'm sorry, Kev. It took 3 times, and you hit cancel twice.
I did.
Anyway,
I did it to myself.
Hello, everybody. I don't do Kevin's Muppet Arms, but welcome to tonight's episode of the Phaelai. We have all 6 of our lovely players here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much, all of you in the chat, for being here. We're quite excited to pick up from that ridiculous cliffhanger last week. So, with that, first things first, subscribers. We have wrapped up our first February set of giveaways to 5 wonderful winners, people who are going to be entered into a one-shot with Kevin next month, so that'll be occurring during the month of March. So we are going to start things up again next week. That'll be Monday, March 1st is going to be the first set of entries for the next one shot that we'll be doing in April, and that's going to be on Kevin's Beyond the Realms Phaelai stream. But for now, even if you subscribe today, you'll still be entered on Monday because it's good for 30 days, and you can keep going until you win. So we appreciate you guys. We love you sticking around. Thank you to everybody who cheers. We try to not answer that stuff on stream because we want to make sure that we keep the RP going. But yeah, we do love you guys, and we appreciate that you come out so much. So thank you.
I like you guys as friends, but still good.
Well, I like you then more than friends because I'm...
Robots don't have emotions.
Wink, wink. Shut your mouth.
Awesome. All right, perfect. So with that, awesome. Thanks for the sub, Sweet Tea Games. Beauty. So with that, I think we're good to go. I'm forgetting one thing. Merch. Wow, I forgot how hard this is to do, like, on cue. Kevin, good job. Our new merch line has dropped. Link is in the chat to that. We are on a Shopify link there. Kevin is rocking some awesome piece, that beanie with a Dicecream logo. Margot, you picked up your own Chibi hoodie, which is like the most fucking epic thing, and I want to get one as soon as possible. Money. And yeah, super stoked for all of that. But I believe that is everything, right? Yeah. Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right back into tonight's episode of The Phaelai.
Remember, the eyes are everywhere.
Last we left off, having cleared the cave lair of kobolds and captured a young girl who seemed to be controlling the clockwork mechs within it, the group made their way back towards Hupperduke under the setting sun. A short ways outside the city, a cloaked figure emerged into the road, blocking their path, who Jules recognized as Ala Jen, a drow in the employ of her family. Weary and battle-worn, a tense exchange was had between the two before a letter of a request from her family was provided, asking Jules to investigate some recent disappearances in the city of Felderwin before month's end. Returning to Hupperduke, the party joined Martinet Ludinus Deleth, Crown Marshal Hayden Damarag, and Starosta Emma Zesbach in the Starosta's mansion. The Martinet questioned the young girl, revealing her to be Gilda Stalmust, the daughter of the Empire's famous weapons inventor, Huron Stalmust. Under the Martinet's compulsion, she described the loss of her father to the work he did for the Empire, and the Starosta began shifting uncomfortably, hearing the past come back into view and haunt her. The group convinced Ludinus to allow them to escort Gilda from Hupperduke to the Cerberus Assembly in the Empire's capital city of Rexentrum in exchange for Huron's journal. They were each provided their own rooms in the mansion for the night, with Jules, Nebula, and Margot convening to read the journal before they had to hand it over. The notebook described Huron's feelings of resentment for the weapons of war he created, then the excitement of finding a source of untold power, glimpsing a window into a clockwork city in a different dimension, and finally attempting to recreate a portal to that city using the heat found within the coals of dragons, before the journal trailed off. Nebula left to bring the rest of the group to Jules' room and get them up to speed, though he was unable to wake Galahad 5, and Margot went to her room while he was gone. Upon returning with Phelan and Les heard some of what was being discussed and instinctively checked the room. finding at least 2 massive paintings with dubious holes in them. Carefully blocking one of the paintings and using his abilities to draw on the floor, Nebula, Jules, and Phelan watched as Les wrote, "Eyes everywhere," and their collective gaze went stark. So with Les backed up against a wall, eyes everywhere written on the floor, what would you like to do?
Let me just get into character real quick.
Hey, Saint, I think you missed your mark because you fell asleep in last session, not this one.
I was just prepping.
Method acting. Method acting. Well, I know for me, I've just used my psychic abilities to wave that pen around and some ink on the floor. Mm-hmm. So I've just written that, and I'm just kind of looking up to see if the others recognize that or what they are going to be doing with that information.
So Jules, Nebula, and Phelan, what are you guys doing?
I look down at that and try and walk around and position my back in front of one of the eye holes. And as I'm doing so, I'm gonna start just talking to try and kind of keep it as casual as I can. And the conversation will go somewhere along the lines of, well, see, here's the thing though, nobody's really, I guess, has clean hands. So I think that while we should be wary of any organization we work with, I think like Les Paul said, we should always be cautious, but keep an open mind. Everybody has to do things in the end. So we might as well just work with them. I think it will be mutually beneficial.
And hearing Phelan say this out loud, Nebula is going to sort of look around the room and say, so we're in agreement. It is the unfortunate side of war. Our hands have to get dirty. And this journal proves that there are plenty of dirty hands here. I prefer if people are more straightforward about that sort of thing, but I think more danger awaits this land than some unfortunate dealings with creatures such as in this book. And as he's talking, he's going to turn and look to Jules as he's having the conversation out loud. And he's going to give Jules that signal.
Yeah. Jules has a very furrowed brow and is trying to figure out what's going on. And they'll open up Awakened Mind and go, "You're saying that for those watching, correct?"
Absolutely. We may have been observed, and we don't know what they'll do, especially since they currently have custody of the girl. If they don't trust us, I'm unsure of where this could go. But a couple of people being smart and surveying their options, admitting the faults, yet still choosing to work, that might play better into our hands than openly being against them.
Yes, I see. Concern number one, Margot has left the room on her own, and she said some very harsh things earlier. We should probably deal with that.
Bring it up in a vocal conversation that one of our party who's not here is not pleased about this, so that we can respond accordingly.
The only issue is, and then she'll say out loud, the only issue is that Margot seems to be rather upset, and we know she has a bit of a temper.
Margot's always upset about something or the other. I'm sure we can work around that.
Certainly. I believe if we discuss this with her, while she may not always enjoy things, being outvoted sort of dictates what we do. Is that not the way of a good soldier, Les?
I mean, yes, of course. Follow orders, all that thing. She seems like somebody's got a good head on her shoulders that'll be very understanding, I'm sure.
I will
she's
say-
just a saint, you know? She's just really she's like Mother Teresa.
I will
She
say,
seems like she's not emotional at all. I think she'll get past this very, very easily.
yeah, we should definitely be at least away from firebolt range. That's just minimum precaution.
Agreed.
Oh.
And I'll open up Awakened Mind, but this time to Les Paul, and say, what is your true opinion on this matter?
Tostilian, is that you?
No, don't freak out. Think internally, and I'll be able to hear it. This is Jules speaking with you.
Holy crap. He tries to say that again in his head. Speaking with you, trying to think internally. His mind is trying to say a direct message to you, but he's kind of internally thinking his own thoughts as well. So it's saying to you, like, how does this work? Can you see everything? We're really fucking screwed. Oh no, I just said that as well. Hold on, take back. Hold on, no, stop. And he just like, his mind just keeps kind of rumbling. He's able to quiet.
Calm down and think clearly.
I'm hungry.
I fucking love Les so much.
Jules will then open Awakened Mind to Nebula and go, he is useless.
What a Chad.
And right now there are 2 paintings that we can see, correct? Going on?
There are currently 2 that Les was able to see. One that he seems to be blocking, kind of getting a better view of the room a little bit, less with the roll that you had last time. The one that you're blocking seems to be the one that has like an eye hole, a set of eye holes. The one on the opposite wall seemed to just be like a hole strategically placed to allow sound to reverberate through. So you're blocking the one that has vision, not blocking the one that allows sound.
Okay.
Okay. So Nebula is going to place his hands in his pockets, and I want to make sure I play this out right. So Nebula is going to place his hands in his pockets and say, well, it seems like we've got quite a journey ahead of us. And where is it we're going again? We have to go to the capital city to meet who? And as he's doing this, his hands go into his pockets to grab a little bit of a component, which he just needs a bit of fleece for this.
Okay.
And as he goes to sit down, he just kind of puts his other hand over his face and just kind of seems very bored suddenly, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to quietly whisper the components, the semantic components for. He's going to make the semantic components in his pocket with the hand motion for minor illusion to create a sound. And he wants to create the sound of creaking wood very loudly from behind the painting itself.
Okay, I'll allow that.
So
Yeah.
he basically wants to make it sound like if someone's there, they fucked up.
Okay. So all of you kind of in the room, not really knowing what's happening. You just see Nebula kind of sitting down and very carefully pulling this out. And all of you have a pretty clear view. Less you seem to be blocking the only pair of what could be intrusive eyes looking into the room. You all just hear a loud from the other side of the wall. And then a series of very light footsteps almost that seem to be very rapidly backing away.
And Nebula immediately stands up and goes, it could be more spiders. Be on your guard. And immediately advances towards the wall and begins patting, like deliberately missing the painting and like putting his ear to the wall for a second.
Yep.
And then he's going to verbally out loud say, I think there's something back here.
There's something back there. And I'm kind of like say that, if I can, I don't want to obviously make it seem like I'm like, is there? Like,
Yeah.
outright lying, but like kind of like, is there? Like, I want to signal to Nebula, like, are you sure that's a good idea to be saying that you know something's there?
I thought we were done with all of Stallmouse's creations.
Well, we can never be too careful. And Nebula wants to kind of lean over and see. So, does he hear anything
Make a perception
now?
check.
All right.
Nebula punches the wall. falls floor.
I cast Divine Sense.
I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, that's a no, because on the die it's a 3, regardless of what my modifiers are.
You are looking very intently at a relatively clean kind of taupe wall.
Nice page.
Wall is sus.
Taupe.
This is a lovely creme.
Yeah.
Mayhaps even a little bit of what one would call Crayola color flesh.
One might call it off eggshell.
And he's just going to now relax and say, must just be the stress. A couple days of hard fighting put me on edge. My apologies.
Well, you're always on edge, Nebula.
You're not wrong.
And, Les, I'll get you to make a perception checks as well, because you're still pressed up against that back wall, or that other wall.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with the Triton dice for this one. Oh, bad choice. Bad choice. Perception. Yeah, that's only a 9.
9. Yeah, you're leaned up against that wall a little bit. You're still pretty convinced something's back there. You don't hear anything. You're like waiting, and this person is being real quiet.
Yeah, I'm keeping it close to the chest. I'm still not giving away my position on this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it seem like I'm still ignorant to the fact that someone might be behind there.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Okay.
And yeah, Nebula's going to relax now and go to sit down. And basically, he got what he wanted. He heard that there was indeed someone there with the creaking, pittering away.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now putting them on guard by saying, I think there's... And then he's just relaxing and going,
Okay. So you still have the journal in front of you, obviously fully decrypted now, able to read back anything that was in there, obviously using the cipher. Phelan and Les currently have not been brought up to speed, really. Did you guys want to bring them up to speed on what had happened, or did you want to wait?
I think...
Yeah, because I believe when I came into the room, I think you had generally might have mentioned something about Margot's situation, and you were asking questions about it, and that's when we were like, I don't know, but I don't think you told me anything else besides that, if I recall.
Yep. That is indeed what we found out.
Shit, now I'm trying to remember how much of it I said out loud.
You guys, when I wasn't there, you literally said everything pretty much in the book out loud.
Before there were full-blown conversations.
But we had a couple of internal conversations between Jules and I, and I'm trying to remember what parts of Margot's story I said out loud.
You mentioned the killing of what you now understand to be the killing of dragons to extract the coals, and that was about it from Margot's side.
That was about.
But there was worry of the fact that, that she was essentially in the same area, but no discussion, because obviously none of you know much of what her background is, with the exception of Jules and Margot having their time together.
Yeah,
I
and
believe
Jules...
the only thing that we discussed with Awakened Mind was when Nebula caught on to the fact of what dragon coals were, but Jules didn't, and Nebula was like, this is why she's upset. So everything else, I'm pretty sure.
And then he made the genius decision of turning into a dragonborn.
Yeah, and it went badly.
It went about as well
right.
as
You done fucked up.
Yeah.
You done fucked up.
Yikes,
You
dude.
fuckled. You straight up fuckled it up.
So, are we leaving it there for the night, or is there anything else you guys want to discuss in the room?
Is it advisable to leave Margot, I guess, seething and alone at a time like this? Or do we talk to her and make sure that she's calmed down a bit?
When she left the room, she was calm. Not raging and not exactly happy, but calm.
Well, perhaps Jules is the best suited to bring Margot up to speed on our decision to press forward.
Yeah, I think that she'd take it best from me.
So our plans are to head to Wrexham Trim in the morning and ferry this child to the next destination, yes?
And are our orders.
Is it... I know it's not necessary at all, but I think this spider thing is just not the best right now. I know it was nothing. I know it was nothing, right? But do we think it would be nice to sleep in pairs today, maybe?
It wouldn't be a bad idea. It's nothing bad to keeping your guard up.
Yeah.
I think that would be the safest option, just in case any of us got attacked by any of the remnants of Stallmouth's creations.
Les Paul?
Is Galahad in this room too, or is he just chilling?
No.
out?
He's passed
No, he's
out.
passed out.
Fuck out.
So he doesn't know any of these plans yet.
Correct.
None.
He's in La La Land.
He's doing what I should have done last night.
So in that, with knowing that, and you guys are talking about pairing up for the night, I'll just quickly say out, should I stay in the room with the metal frosty one?
Galahad 5?
Yes, that's the one.
That's fair.
If we're pairing up.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, that would put Jules with Margot and Phelan, you're with me.
Hey, Rumi.
Very well. We should likely set out early in the morning to complete our task. So get some rest.
We ride it dawn.
And yeah, Nebula will kind of go to leave Jules's room.
Jules will go. Jules will grab her things and then go to make her way to Margot's room.
All right.
So we're going to your room, my room. It's been a while.
Doesn't really matter to me. And he'll shapeshift into Phelan. I mean, technically, it could be my room, and now it's really confusing.
It's our room.
And he'll just head. He'll head towards his room to collect his stuff, and then Nebula will transition over to wherever Phelan's at.
Cool.
Okay. Before I go over to Galahad's room, would I, in this mansion, would I know if Lewdness is staying here or not on the same grounds, or are they staying somewhere else?
Lewdness would be staying here.
Would I be able to visit said Lewdness before going to Galahad's room?
I'll say sure. Yeah.
Okay.
The fuck?
All right.
Up to you if that happens right away, if you want to go to someone else first.
No, you're good. You asked.
Okay. So if I go to her...
Yeah. If you head down to where their room is, you would know that they would be in a more secure room, we'll say, than the ones that you're staying in. It would take you a little bit to figure out where it is. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Not using the one I used before. Switched that up. Ooh, that's better. That's a 16.
16, okay. Yeah, it would take you not super long, but a little bit of time to figure out what you think would probably be the most likely room, and a couple of awkward knocked doors with no answers later, you would eventually find where Lewdness is, and they would come in general sleeping attire. It's late, but it hasn't been, that many hours since they turned in for the evening.
Yeah, I'll be respectful too. Knock on the door before I go in, make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, of course. And they would come out and kind of crack the door a little bit, see that you're standing there. And yes, what can I do for you?
Lewdness, it looks like we're all getting ready to head out in the morning. Seek out for Rexentrum. Just before I head out, thank you for everything you've done for me. I know my arrival here was a bit sudden, but the kindness that you and the Assembly has shown me, giving me shelter, allowing me to live here in peace, I am forever thankful.
You have your job.
This girl.
You can see that they actually kind of look behind into the room. Yes?
Wait, she's there with you?
Of course. Given everything that we found out in that room, you think I would let her stay in a room of Miss Tarosta's mansion? I'm not an idiot, Les.
That is true. You are the smarter one of us.
Yes. Well.
Before I go, I don't know if I'll be able to have the peace of mind if I don't ask this, but did you or anyone at the Assembly know of this history of this daughter?
You can see that their gaze gets legitimately forlorn. They're somebody who doesn't really wear their emotions on their sleeve all that often, but in this respect, genuinely no. And they take a couple seconds to respond, and no, I did not. The Assembly was not made aware of this. I would imagine because the Empire wanted to maintain this power, this technology, within the military, which we have our dealings with on occasion. Hayden and I are not exactly the closest of allies at the best of times. But no, I can definitively tell you that this was not something that I or the Assembly were involved in.
All right then. I won't keep you up anymore.
You'll see me in the morning before the off. I'll have the girl ready to go with you.
Do you need anything for me to carry? Sending stone? Anything for me to contact you during the travel?
No. If there is a need to reach out, we shall do so.
Right. Sneaky, sneaky. All right.
You know,
good night.
We are the way that we are.
And then he'll kind of try to peek into the room as he kind of leaves, just to see if he can make visual contact of the little girl in there.
Sure. Go make a perception check.
No, I fucked it up.
Damn it. One job.
12.
12. You're not exactly being subtle about it, and so they kind of like catching your attempt to look. Essentially, their perception is higher than your perception roll was. So they just kind of like look inside the room and just kind of step out of the way a little bit. And you see that the girl is curled up, not on the bed. She seems to be on a chaise of some kind. But there are blankets, there are pillows, and at least from what you can see the back of her head, it does look like it is Gilda.
Okay. That's all for me. Toodaloo. I'll go back to Galahad's room.
Good night, Les.
Les switches up so fast and I love it. Oh, yeah, man. I'm done. Cool.
I just needed eyes just to make sure she was not in a garbage chute somewhere. So good.
Fair.
Awesome. Alrighty, so everybody turning in for the evening?
Yeah. When Jules will walk up to Margot's door and give it a soft knock.
Margot, who at this point was ruminating just by doing figure eights around the room, basically, very obviously still worked up over things, kind of whips around and like tentatively opens the door quietly and slowly.
Hey, we believe that there's still a threat of those mechanical spiders that Stallmouse created. So we're all going to be staying in pairs tonight. Would it be okay by you if I were to stay here? And then after she finishes that statement, she'll say through awakened mind, there were people listening to our conversation and it's not safe for us to stay by ourselves.
So at that point, Margot, who's like still holding the handle to the door, you see her kind of lower her head and just like bite her lip in frustration, drawing a single line of blood down her chin. She goes, yes, the spiders, and like takes a step back and like opens the door and gestures for Jules to come in. I suppose it's best to be careful.
Thank you. Jules will make her way in, and then she'll say out loud to Margot, I understand that you're upset about what's happened, but as a group, the majority of us want to continue and sticking with our assigned mission. And then with awakened mind, Jules will say, I don't know if there's still people listening or not, so play along for now. I don't believe that this is our actual intention.
Margot says out loud to the room, it's not the comfiest, but it'll do. You're welcome to share whatever. But to right back to Jules in the hedge goes, I have no choice but to play along until I get my hands on that girl. I'm their puppet.
Ooh.
With awakened mind, Jules will say back, I know what it's like to be a puppet and it's not fun, but we're in this together right now.
I said, and she's just gonna say goodnight out loud to the room and then give a subtle nod. And then as she makes eye contact, like as she's walking towards her bed, like to Jules with awakened mind, she goes, we won't continue to be puppets. I won't. And I know you won't. And I won't let them do to that little girl what they did to me.
Good night, Margot. Sleep as well as you can.
She's gonna say out loud, she goes, if you get cold, you can come closer. And then she's just gonna like bring the blankets like up over and then just lay her head down on the pillow.
Jules will join you.
At this point, you just see Margot kind of tentatively like put a wing over Jules, very slightly, but just slightly.
I want art.
You can feel Jules kind of tense up a little bit at first, and then relax slowly.
Alrighty. So, with everybody turning in for the evening, a somewhat restless night of sleep, but at least comfortable one.
Galahad not knowing anything of what's happening. Galahad's been nothing but restful sleep.
We'll catch him up later.
Just do me a quick favor. Saint, can you roll a d20 for me? Just don't add anything, just what's your result?
Ding, 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 ding.
Die of the Beholder. What is that? It's an 11.
It's an 11. Okay. You have a solid sleep. Not like super deep, super long, you know, you're the first one to fall asleep and last one to wake up. You're probably one of the earlier risers of the party, and you kind of as the bed kind of lifts up a little bit as it kind of releases your weight. But all of you seem to come to consciousness within, you know, probably 20 minutes, half an hour of each other. There are a lot of lights, not a lot of blinds in these rooms that are drawn. You were let in at night and pretty exhausted. A lot of you probably didn't even think to close them. So the morning light does greet you, but it is a full night's rest. So at this point, you have all leveled up. So you are now all officially level 4. All of your stats on the screen there to display that as well. And making your way down the following morning. So You are up on the second floor. You know, all of you are kind of able to mingle outside of your rooms before you head downstairs if you would like, or we can just jump to heading downstairs.
As soon as Jules runs back into Nebula or Galahad, when they run into Nebula, she'll just say with awakened mind, would you like me to update Galahad on the situation? Or so?
I guess it was muted. Oops. And he says, if you wouldn't mind, that would be excellent.
And then Jules will awakened mind and update Galahad very slowly on all of the things that occurred while he was asleep. And just,
Progress bar gets fuller.
just, it's like,
Just
so
the Among
that's what
Us progress
happened.
bar. Just awesome. All right, so Galahad, you are brought up to speed on the contents of the notebook as best Jules can remember, which is pretty clear, pretty fresh in your mind after all the conversations from the night before. You're brought up to exactly what everybody knows about the people potentially listening in on the walls, and go.
I'm also asleep on the floor in a curled ball.
Okay. Good note.
Yes.
You did not share a bed. He's just too dummy thick.
I'm curled up in a ball, like twitching one leg, and like in my sleep saying things like, "I'll kill your family, Strahd." That's it.
The stereotypical guy sleep.
Twitching like they're
When you
fucking
sleep,
going
they're
through a
really
seizure.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty.
That's my blood spear. That's my blood spear.
So, with that, all of you heading downstairs the following morning?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. An assortment of fresh fruits and crusty bread is scattered on a long banquet table, with Hayden voraciously tucking into a hearty meal of sausages, eggs, and crispy potatoes, while Ludinus plucks a few grapes from a large bowl and tears off small chunks from an end of a loaf of bread. Gilda, the girl, is seated without any restraints, chin resting on the table as she rolls an orange back and forth, occasionally reaching over towards a massive plate of smoked bacon, lazily chewing on a couple of strips. Her head raises as she notices you walking into the room, and she lets the orange fall to the floor. And Ludinus...
Margot immediately goes over, like, just kind of doesn't even really, like, acknowledge lewdness in the room. Goes over and picks the orange up off the floor and sits next to her and goes to hand it to her without making a bunch of eye contact.
She kind of, like, reaches out and takes the orange from your hand and smiles a little bit. You can see that she's definitely bathed, she's definitely clean, she's in what seem to be new clothes, maybe a little ill-fitting, but she's maybe only a little bit larger than an average gnome at this point, given her age and the fact that she's a human, so she seems to fit them pretty well. And Ludinus kind of looks over and, "Rise and shine, troop. Your ward awaits you."
Ludinus, do they have any raw fish?
Oh, I forgot. One moment.
Just, it's okay if they don't. It's fine. I don't want to be a mess, right? I don't want to be fussy or anything.
One moment. And you see that they kind of glide out of the room a little bit and pass through a doorway. You're left alone in the room as Hayden is just kind of ignoring all of you and seems to just be tucking into all of this food, grabbing fistfuls of potatoes and bread. Like, definitely seems to be somebody who's just kind of eating his problems away at the moment. But
Full moon.
yeah.
Yes, April.
I am going to, for sure, Nebula for sure, when he walks in and sees the girl, is going to just reflexively double check, and he's going to cast Divine Sense, like, as he goes to.
You.
If
And
lost, keep.
he wants to see if he sees the same bits of undead around the arm connections and such, because he is privy to shape changers and being duped. So he's checking for something that looks familiar.
Yeah. Everything seems to check from what you remember. Divine Sense makes it so that you can really only see the things, right? Like, it's not behind lead or anything like that. You have to actually see it.
Yeah. You have to be able to. An action, you can detect good and evil. You can sense anything affected by hollow spell, celestial fiend, or undead within 60 feet that's not behind total cover.
Okay, so total cover in this respect, in terms of sight, given the clothes that she's wearing, it would be considered total cover from view in that respect. But like her as an individual doesn't seem to be pinging anything with divine sense that would be out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah. So are we gonna be leaving soon? I'd rather not stay here too long.
Yes, but it's never good to travel on an empty stomach. So like, we can grab some food first. That would be nice.
Oh, yeah. Take whatever you like. I mean, one nice thing about Hupperduke, there's always food around for people who, well, can have it.
You see Galahad just in the corner, just with a piece of bacon, like.
He said, "Oh shit, we were waiting. Oh damn."
Les Paul as well with his like raw fish.
I'll like grab a seat and as close as I can to the plate of bacon and start munching on that as well.
And the food
Everyone's
is delicious. It is a massive banquet spread. Seemingly mostly definitely put out for Hayden and for Ludinus, given their positions within the Empire, but obviously all of you are there as well. There is definitely more than would normally be provided to just two individuals, so you're able to tuck in very, very well. Take a couple of loaves of crusty bread that'll last for a couple of days or so at least, and then all the fruits and veg that you'd like.
Margot like reaches over before and like drags a plate of bacon before all of the men in the party can destroy it, and then pushes it in front of Gilda, and then just looks down and says one word: eat.
I have been. And she kind of like looks down at the bacon and then kind of gestures to the fact that there is an empty plate underneath the full plate of bacon. So she's seemingly having already eaten an entire plate of bacon. And is
Margot noticing this, because she's not very perceptive, we've all realized this. Margot noticing this just kind of makes like a, oh, well, I guess you didn't need the orange then. And then like gives a small chuckle and like takes a piece of bacon for herself and starts eating.
It's not often
Nebula is... Oh, go ahead.
It's not often I get smoked food. And she's just kind of like tucking into the really good smoked bacon. And it's true, like, given the requirements to actually really make good bacon, it would make sense that she wasn't really able to get that where she was staying. So fresh fruits, that's easy to steal, right? Oranges.
The question is it limp bacon or is it overly crispy bacon? There is a difference as to the quality.
It's nicely rendered.
That's a cop out.
They have
fat
all
is rendered.
It's a really good program they use to render that bacon.
Exactly. Nebula, what's up?
So Nebula is going to actively not eat anything here and say, I don't typically do breakfast, but I will take some to go. Thank you. And he's going to bag it, bag some up and just throw it in a little sack. And
literally, we learned nothing from last night. Is this food poisoned? We don't know.
No, exactly. Nebula deliberately is just like...
Just a greasy sack full of like wet eggs and bacon.
He does not give a shit. His
bag of holding smells like an IHOP at 4 a.m.
Rather an IHOP than an IDead, so he's not eating.
We're gonna IHOP away from our problems.
Well, but between all of the breads and the vegetables and the fruit, the things that'll keep for a little while, you figure you've probably got about 2 to 3 days worth of rations, like good healthy stuff that you can take for the road ahead. The rest of it you would need to make up. I'm not sure if all of you have actual rations or any way of generating food on the road. So
I think I do.
You might. But yeah, obviously the city of Hupperduke is available to you. Destrosa's mansion, essentially, you're just there for the morning. But as Ludinus comes back with that raw fish for less, not with it, I should say, but with a servant who is bringing it. Ludinus kind of steps into the room and... So, this task, bringing the girl to Rexentrum. You'll need to take her to the Cerberus Assembly. One of my colleagues, Baroness Jenna Iosor. She's the Archmage of Industry within the Assembly. She works within an area of the Shimmer Ward, kind of the central area. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Rexentrum before, but one of the more upscale areas. You will require these, and she passes out a series of what essentially look like kind of official documents that are stamped with a Cerberus Assembly seal on them, and one of them is given to you as a party, and one spare set in case anything happens that grants you temporary access into the Shimmer Ward. At your pace, on foot or by beast, it would be probably about 16 days from here to the capital city, so be sure to take care on the road.
Will do. Is there any way we could have beasts provided to us in order to get ourselves to there?
I'm sure that could be arranged. What is it? Hayden, and like gesture and kind of yells across the way, and you can see Hayden kind of look up and like a little bit of sausage juice dripping out of his mouth, and just, how much is a steed? 75. Yeah. Tosses out a little sack of gold, and she just kind of, thank you, and takes it over. So 75. Would you prefer a wagon or just horses for all of you?
And the wagon would be nice, right?
Good.
Wagon would be rather nice, yes.
All right. So wagon typically holding one driver, 3 passengers. So you would need about 3 additional horses. So, all right. There you are. About 375 gold pieces. That should cover it, and rations for the road as well.
God damn.
Galahad's
Thank
just like
you.
meticulously wiping the corner of his mouth with a cloth.
Oh, and I did forget your payment as well for everything before. Another 500 on top. So it's 500 to divide amongst yourselves. The 5 of you, Les not included because he wasn't a part of the original expedition.
Hey, shit.
No money.
I'm a poor Triton living by the sea.
So it is an extra 500 gold pieces, up to you how you divide that. But 375 will pretty much cover the wagon and the horses, so you can kind of like not really count as adding that to your inventory unless you want to shortcut it. But then the 500 is really your payment for the work that you had done getting the girl back. Now, with that, the journal.
Jules will take it out of her bag and hand both of the cipher and the regular one over to her.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look forward to reading this myself. I trust there was some good information in it that you read last night.
At that point, you hear Margot like slowly like grip the table with her claws, but like not loud, but there's like a sharp intake of breath. She goes, "Sorry, my apologies. I bit my cheek."
That must be quite painful.
Yes, painful.
We found out some interesting information from the journal, yes, but none of it was really of much consequence to us personally.
You just hear Margot like struggling to not make noise.
That was such an outright thing of like, there's nothing sus in this book. We think it's okay.
Everything's so hunky-dory.
Bye.
Ignore the
Anything
flaming
personal
red
to any
dragon.
of us? Not possible. As she's like shoving oranges in her mouth to muffle the screams.
Trump's autobiography was very insightful. He had a lot of good points. I swear to God.
God.
Just,
We're not
really,
doing
really
this.
well thought out.
Hey, Department of Adventurers, thanks for the raid, guys.
Reading.
But yeah, so handing the journal over, they kind of take the journal from you and just leaf through it a little bit and looking at the chicken scratch, and you can see their brow furrow a little bit, kind of hoping that they would be able to just read it inherently, but understanding that the cipher is there for a reason. Well, I look forward to taking some time and reading through this myself, see if the Assembly can figure out exactly what it is that the military decided to do. So, with that, I should be off. Hayden, you coming?
May I ask a question of you, Lutenus? I'm interested in learning magic for myself, and using my own abilities to cast it. Would you have any sort of books or something like that that I could read along my journey in order to start figuring that out?
Beginner's magic, or are you already somewhat versed?
I'm already somewhat versed. I just haven't attempted to cast it myself.
On hand, not that I would be particularly willing to part with. But when you get to Rexentrum, look towards the Soltris Academy, one of the magical schools run by the Cerberus Assembly in the city. There may be some resources there that could be available to you. I'll see what I can do to put in a word with one of the scholars.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Soltris Academy?
Soltris. Soltryce.
Mage school, baby.
So, you're all set with payment? Hayden,
yeah.
shall we? And
Just
kinda-
a quick question for Jody.
Yeah, far away.
Jody.
Jody.
Did Ludenus say that we would be meeting her at
No,
or
they did
them?
not say you're meeting them. They said that you're meeting specifically Baroness Jenna Iresor. The Jenna, yeah. The Archmage of Industry within the Cerberus Assembly, which would make sense given what Gilda's background is, working with the clockwork mechanisms. And Jenna resides and works specifically within the Shimmer Ward, in an area known as the Candles, which are 8 massive spires.
Right. Just thinking, because I gave Ludenus the hilt, and she said, "Give me a week."
Yeah, you'll be at your pace. You'll be traveling there. It'll take you 16 days to get there. You would imagine that given the week that they requested, it was probably to run a series of tests on it. If you were to get there early, you would be able to get it in a week. If not, you'll just get it when you get it.
No worries, Might. Thank you.
Happy to. Alrighty. For the third time, Hayden, shall we? And like gesturing over, and you can see that he's now just kind of yeah, I hate this part. Makes his way over and kind of stands next to them. The two of them kind of make their way off into one of the corners of the room, and good luck. And they just both vanish in midair.
I never get out of how cool that is.
Couldn't they just like take us with them? I mean, like,
You'd think so. You'd think so.
Why didn't they just fly the ring to Mordor?
Because then they wouldn't have learned what they learned on the journey on the way.
They're busy people with busy things to do.
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. We're not busy at all.
Hey, we got a raid.
We have a map, right?
A map?
A map.
Oh, on Roll20?
Well, no. The party
Like,
as
like
a
a
map.
physical map to get to Rexentrum, you mean?
Oh, so currently, no, because you guys are inside Hupperduke, but it's a city with a lot of shops. You could easily find those things and purchase them if you'd like. Yeah, right now you are essentially given the money and a destination, and it's up to you to figure out exactly how you want to get there, what route you want to take, what equipment you want to buy, anything like that. You've got a good amount of gold. Less as well, I forgot to mention that your purse from the assembly, given everything that you had done, would be 150 gold. So you would have that as just spare cash for yourself.
No, 10 gold, no more.
150.
Maybe we should
swear.
get ourselves a map.
So, kind of as you're thinking that, a couple of seconds pass after Ludenus and Hayden depart from the corner of the room, and within about 15-20 seconds, you kind of hear some heavy footfalls, and a good 6 to 10 guards begin making their way into the center chamber where all of you are with the girl.
Oh no.
And one of them kind of makes his way forward and... believe it's time for you all to leave. You have had your stay in the Starosta's mansion for the night. Get out.
Understood.
Very nice. All right.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice.
Empire thugs, so uncivilized. Waddle out.
You. They seem to be pretty standoffish, but are definitely clearing a path for you, the most direct route possible to get out of the mansion.
Okay.
They're like guides, but more hostile.
Most aggressive tour guides you've ever seen.
So yeah, we would leave out of the building. It sounds like, and just get out. Nebula would ask the party then. So who has a map to our destination? Because I'm actually unsure if any of us do.
Margot would look at Gilda and just be like, Gilda, do you know where one can acquire a map?
Yeah, there's a bunch of places around the city you can buy stuff. There's an herbalist and trinket shop. There's a couple of different armor smiths and weaponsmiths. I don't know if they'd have maps, but yeah, I mean, I can let you know of a couple of places I used to go to.
That would be nice. And friends, we should also maybe pawn these off, and I'll take out one of the opals that we found in there. I'm assuming you have no need for those anymore. I'll turn around to the little girl, and we did grab a few items that we could sell off and get some more money for the road.
We also have that gilded sword that I found. Unless you still want that, Nebula.
The sword?
The short sword?
Short sword. Was there anything special about it that we recall, Galahad?
It was fancy. That was about it.
It's a +1, and I believe the Jules is currently carrying it.
Oh yeah, Jules took it.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
I swear. Okay.
Just don't take my pokey stabby.
Hey, Jules, that sword, you don't need it, right? Yeah, it's fine.
Stuff.
Sorry, there's some files missing. Let me just restore that real quick.
The pinwheel is still stuck on there.
Oh, the beach ball of death.
We also have these 2 pouches. So we have quite a lot. And I'll pull out like the pouches of 100 gold each, I believe is what we had.
From what you found in the cave?
Yes. Yeah, because we had
Sure,
4 opals.
we'll say it was 100 gold
a
each. I was
flawed
totally
ruby,
the DM at that
and
time.
a diamond. Right.
Why not? Yeah, they're 100 gold each. Sure, you got an extra 200 gold. We'll say that.
Cool. Yes. I also had an orb of teleportation.
Yeah.
No,
the
he
ring
did
of
not.
3 wishes. Oh, look at
Oh.
Careful, guys. He's the DM. Don't push his buttons. He'll fuck with us.
I will say, like, super quick, in my original campaign, this is a minor thing, but at level 3, I used to do a thing on your birthday where you would roll on a table to get a random magic item, and at level 3, one of my characters got a ring of 3 wishes, and in 2 years, never used it, because he was so fucking scared of what I would do to him if he made a wish spell, because it's a genie inside the ring, so, like, they can twist your words of, draw me a bath, and the bath is acid. Right.
It was Agatha. Oh, la, la.
Anyway, so you've got an additional 200 gold of just usable wealth that you can use. The gems themselves worth, little bits and pieces here and there, probably 10 to 25 to 50 gold each. We'll say would culminate worth about another, we'll say 100 gold pieces total. That if you were to hawk those to somebody, you would be able to get 100 gold for all the gems if you wanted.
Okay.
All right. Well, then it sounds like our first priority is to secure a map and our horses. We've been given enough to do so. We should go get them first.
Yes.
All right.
No, sounds good.
Well, there's a nice old lady named Zendasa. She runs the Lay of the Land herbalist shop, kind of a little trinket place. You can get all kinds of things there. There's the Gentle Rest stables. All this stuff is on the lower part of Hupperduke. The stables are good to get horses and wagons and things. If you guys need any armor, with the knowledge that I have, I can see you're not all exactly using the best stuff. There's the Neverbend Smithy, and then the Steel's Bringer's Forge for armor and weapons. So a bunch of different places that you can go. Where do you want to start?
We know we have what we need for the horses. What do you think, Phelan?
I was going to say we should also probably visit the herbalist and get more potions of healing on our way out as well. I think we
Agreed.
ran out since our last visit. We could grab some of those, maybe split up and have a group grab the potions, the rest of us grab the map and horses, or whichever's closer, and see if anybody wants armor and go from there.
Does anyone care to stop by the armorer or the smiths?
I'm pretty good.
I believe that I'm fine.
I am curious. I wonder. I admit I'm not well versed in close combat. It might be beneficial for me to have something.
Understood.
Yeah, the claws can only do so much.
I do wonder, and she's gonna look at her nails, if there's any way to enhance these.
Oh, that would be very sick.
You can see that Gilda, now that all of you are kind of outside and you're wandering through the streets a little bit, and you kind of mention that and look at your nails and kind of put your hand down. She kind of reaches up and grabs your hand instinctively and just kind of looks at it. I mean, yeah, could definitely enhance what's already there. Just need time, figure out what fits and what kind of structural enhancements would be required.
Margot is surprised, but she's not gonna pull her hand away. She's just gonna look at her, hear everything she said, take it, and just be like, clever girl. And she's gonna gently squeeze her hand and then let go.
And on that day, Margot's heart grew 3 sizes.
How could I be mean to that?
All I could think there was
very easy.
clever girl.
Yeah, and the Velociraptor.
Well, it's the reverse.
Clever girl.
It's Jurassic Park. It's the dino speaking to the person.
Alan!
Alan.
Alan!
Oh man.
So
Yeah, so she's gonna take her hand away and she's gonna pat her on the head, and then
lets you ruffle her hair a little. You can see that for the first time since you've seen her, there is a little bit of a skip in her step. Obviously very excited to get outside the city and be able to show off a little bit of what she remembers, having grown up here but not really been able to, or not stayed here for the last couple of years.
And this whole time, Les is just keeping deadlocked eyes on her as well. That's his primary defense. How to get.
Perfect.
this is why I can't play main characters. This is why I can't play main characters.
You can until a really cute child appears.
Nebula is going to say something to Gilda.
Yeah.
And Nebula's going to say...
By the way, what does Nebula look like right now?
Nebula's in his typical, his base form.
Okay.
So with his star design all over him.
Okay. Perfect. So you're not adopting a guise at the moment.
Yeah, no disguise right now.
Great.
And Nebula looks over to Gilda and says, so, perhaps we'll have to put you to work. Seems like you might have some improvements in mind. And clearly we aren't equipped with the best. Probably beats whatever we were up to prior.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I said. You guys don't exactly have the best stuff right now. I mean, I could try, but it took me a lot of years just to make a couple of things. I mean, I am 12.
And Nebula's gonna bend down to straighten up his boots, and when he's down on that level, he's going to sort of quietly say to Gilda, but you're a very smart 12-year-old, and it seems that those folks back at that mansion weren't too fond of letting you go. We'll do what we can, but do keep your guard up and try not to stray. I can't guarantee anyone's still interested in your mine.
I'm getting my NPC dice. Okay. Good to know. So she just kind of looks up at you and looks around a little bit and sees, general milling about of different people and things. Just kind of, got it. I like your skin, by the way. It's kind of cool.
Thank you. And he stands back up and says, well, sounds like we're going shopping.
While we're out, Gilda, do you need anything, or would you like anything for the journey? It's going to be a good amount of time.
Yeah, well, my clothes are fine. Maybe a second pair of, stuff that I can change into if this gets dirty or something. I'd like a dagger. And, like, deadpan, just, yeah. I'd like
a dagger? Oh, I could help you with that. And I literally just reach in behind my back pocket, and, like, throw it out. And be like, there you go.
No,
Okay, how
Margot's
about
gonna take Les Paul's hands and shove it down. She's like, a better dagger.
And maybe not. I love you. I'm very excited to be traveling with you, Gilda. But maybe the dagger can wait until we're like out of town. Like we'll get you a dagger, but hold off until we're out of town, maybe.
How old are you? 12?
Yeah.
That's old enough to hold a dagger.
That's old enough to hold a dagger, yeah.
Yeah, she took on all 5 of you, for God's sakes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yes. I just don't want to, get stabbed in the middle of town.
No.
From
And
Gilda?
start a whole hassle. Yes.
Are you going to stab us, Gilda?
You see a genuine look of shock, like you guys offered to take me out of the city. All I want to do is leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Just
like
wants to
kind
do
of
his
gets
thing.
like a little crestfallen. It's just like, I wouldn't do that again. I mean, last time I thought you were with the Empire. That was the whole point. Is you came in, you blew up all my stuff, you killed all my workers. Like I didn't know who you were. Now it's a little different. Like you have obviously no affiliations with them. You stood up.
Margot at this point is gonna take Gilda and kind of hold her close and be like, she deserves a fighting chance to survive, much as we do.
Yeah,
I
and if
would
you
like
get
to
stabbed
inside
by a
check.
12-year-old, you probably deserved it in the first place. Here you go.
I'm
Here's
not.
your dagger.
I'd like to know if
I
I'm
like
like.
it, but
Yeah, sorry.
it's a little big. And like it's very much designed for you, Les. Like this is a dagger that you can wield and is very nicely balanced for you.
And
She-
it's very shittily made, too. It's not
She
a very
has
good dagger.
tiny hands and she doesn't want a dagger that smells like fish.
Like made out of coral. It's like awful.
Yeah.
What do you have there? A knife!
Oh god, am I gonna have to draw that
I'll
later?
take the dagger back and be like, all right. I'm sure we could find something more suited for your tiny hands. Here, have some raw fish instead. And they're just like out of my
You
pocket.
see her literally run behind Margot and go, thank you. He's weird.
Margot's gonna let out a bark of a laugh. Just
Why are
fish
you
for me.
carrying raw fish? What?
Sorry, Phelan, I interrupted you. Moose, what'd you say? Before?
Oh no, you're good. I realized it was just lagging, so you're good. I forgot what I was saying.
All right, no worries. But yeah, so with that, you guys are in Upper Hupperduke at this point. You're making your way over towards the winch lift, which is going to let you down into the kind of the main, more mining, metalwork, less residential, more trade oriented area within Hupperduke. So takes a good 15 minutes or so for the lift to get everybody down.
And Nebula says to the party, well, perhaps it's best to look at equipment before we get our horses. So once we do, we can just leave.
Very fair. I think I'd like to see if there's any more light armor around. I don't want to be, bogged down too much, but maybe something a little light and more sturdy than what I have on now would be nice.
All right, so
Cough, cough, all the blood I've lost from these fights.
So major places of note. You're looking at the Lay of the Land Herbalist. So that's kind of herbalist, general remedies, things like your antitoxins, your potions of healing, general trinkets for maps, and any kind of odds and ends that you might need for any spell casting. So any kind of arcane focus style items or material components. You'd be looking at the Gentle Rest Stables, so that's going to be able to get your horses, probably where you would be able to purchase a wagon as well. And then you've got the Neverbend Smithy, so that's armor smiths, and then the Steelbringer's Forge, and that's weaponsmiths.
All right.
So
I
who wants to go
propose we go to the smithy first, lay in order, do all the other things after. Then by the time we're done the other things, the armor will probably be ready.
That seems like it would be the wisest course of action, yes.
That's why you're the smart one, Les.
Oh, you know it, buddy.
I'm getting such Zoidberg vibes from Les right now. I'm sorry.
He is. He's a mixture between like Gerard Butler from 300 and Zoidberg. That's literally Zespal.
All right. Anyway,
A buffet. Oh, if only I brought my wallet.
you can see that Gilda knows of these places. The exact locations are a little bit more questionable. So, who wants to lead the way in trying to figure out where they are?
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I'm gonna lean down to Gilda and really awkwardly just be like,
Sorry, I knocked you out and hit you into a wall. Do you want to ride on my shoulders?
And she kind of like looks up at you a little bit, and I'm not a child. Yeah. Like,
I like how Galahad apologizes for knocking her out, but Corso doesn't apologize for sticking blasting powder in her mouth and taping it shut.
It didn't explode.
He don't. Yeah, but did you die though?
But did you die though? But yeah, you can see that, like, legitimately she seems like, I have to say this so they don't think I'm some like weak little kid, but then like is legitimately excited about the idea of basically being on, you know, dad's shoulders at Disneyland, right? And yeah, she clambers up there pretty quick and kind of locks her legs around your neck, and she's kind of just looking at all the sights, and especially given the fact that you are, how tall are you again? Like 6?
I am 8 feet tall.
You're 8 feet tall. So with her additional height on top, her being a little bit taller than an average gnome anyway, like she's looking at the rooftops of houses, right? Like that's how tall she is in a city that's really designed for gnomes. But yeah, definitely looks pretty happy about it. And you can see that she's starting to enjoy herself a fair bit.
Margot, kind of seeing how suddenly tall Gilda's gotten, says, Gilda, when we walk through doorways, duck.
Good call. Onwards. And like she kind of like points you forward like she would a horse, and starts making your way through the city. So Phelan, you said you wanted to be the one to try and figure out where stuff was?
Yeah.
All right, go and roll an investigation check for me.
Okay, cool.
Get your bugbear on, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, that is an 11 plus 5 for 16.
16,
Whoa.
yeah, that is more than enough. So within a couple of minutes, you're not exactly the most fitting in troop, so you do definitely command a bit of presence as you're walking through the city, and so you kind of like not corner somebody on purpose, but accidentally just like the group converges on one person outside a shop somewhere, and you just kind of, you know, where is this place? And they just kind of, that way, down the road, turn right, sharp left, you'll see it there.
Turn right, sharp left. So helpful.
Just darts down the hallways or down the alley as soon as there's an open space.
Oh God. Okay. Well, that went amazing. I am so excited to be out in the wild again, to not get any, I guess, looks like that. It's gonna be nice.
Alrighty. So within a couple of minutes, you're able to find your way down, and you eventually see that it's not marked with any words of any kind, but it is just a massive shield with like a nice set of armor kind of overlaid on top of it. Wooden sign out front. You would imagine this would most likely be the armor smith.
Okay. All right. Well, so let's see what we got. Maybe Margot, what are you looking for? Or are you just trying to see what's inside?
Perhaps do you have spiked knuckles or anything that could be attached to these? And she's gonna flex her claws.
Marco's trying to fucking go like arena fighter and like knock the fuck out of these peeps. Or like,
I'm here for it.
All right, so Marty, you kind of duck a little bit to get under, make sure your wings don't clip the door as you push your way in, and it is burning hot. To you, it's comfortable. Like, very, very nice. This is the right temperature. Finally, somewhere.
This is room temperature.
Yeah, you're like Little Nicky in New York. You finally find the right place, sleeping on the radiator. This is the right temperature. And
does Les Paul's just start smelling like cooked fish? Because I don't think I'd be able to handle that.
You notice that he does kind of start.
No, I was gonna say that if they go step through the door to the blacksmith, I'm gonna instinctually not go inside. We're like, I tend to kind of dry up in hot areas. I'm just gonna stay out here and just keep guard, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right.
Does anybody else smell cooked fish?
No.
I'd never know.
I'm choosing.
In his face, Les is just like looking around, like, oh no, they know.
So, pushing your way inside, Margot, the temperature is right. The rest of you, a couple of beads of sweat start forming on your heads, with the exception of Galahad. Obviously, a little bit of oil starts leaking out.
Whoa.
But the inside is quite nice. You see that there are a lot of different sets of armor put on racks. It looks to be some kind of a large fitting room area in the back. Surprisingly nice, definitely a little more upscale than a lot of armor smiths, which would make sense given where Hupperduke is and given the number of Crownsguard that come through the city and how integral it is towards the army and the military within the Empire in general. So you see that there are a couple of different gnomes working behind the counter, and then one kind of very large bearded guy makes his way up front as he sees the door open and all of you walk in. And yeah, what can I do for you?
I need to see what you can do. And if anything works with these, and she's going to flex her claws out. She goes, also, and she's going to point to Gilda, a dagger for this one.
This is an armor smith. You want weapons? Go down the road.
Do you have any armor? I guess I have any light armor that would fit for me then instead.
Light armor. Speaking my language. Come front.
And you can see gestures for you to step forward.
So, what are you using right now? Leathers? Standard?
Yeah.
We got studded. That's a good little purchase for you. You know, not exactly the most expensive thing in the world. Give you a little bit better. Some metal studs in there. Make the blades glance off a little easier.
Oh, I thought that this was the smithy. I thought that this was the weapon shop. My bad. Actually, what I want to do is I want to see if there's actually any sort of cloak of protection there.
Okay. So within that space, make a perception check for me. Just kind of looking around as Valen's having this conversation.
Jules is also in on the conversation with Phelan because they're looking for light armor as well.
Perfect.
And Nebula is looking for interesting, unique things to add to his abilities.
All right, go to make a perception check, Nebula, as well. So,
That's only a 10.
That's a 10? Okay. Nebula
I'm just
perception.
browsing.
Sorry, let me pull up my thing. Perception.
I swear I'm not an idiot. I just have selective hearing.
It's all good.
Yeah. Only got a 7. No good.
7, no good?
Ooh.
Yeah, so you and Margot kind of looking around, trying to find anything of any real interest. The stuff that's on the racks is pretty bog standard. You're not noticing anything. There is one thing that's in a very nice display case. It seems to be shorter armor, full plate mail, diamonds kind of down the sides, almost like suspenders. But you see that there does appear to be some kind of a pair of arc bolts across the center of the chest. It looks to be a very, very nice set of plate armor. You're not exactly sure what it does, but it is on display. And then the only thing that's in a case, whereas the rest of it, people can kind of rummage through a little bit.
Yeah.
But Phelan and Jules,
Yeah, studded leather. That's it's gonna be 45 gold each. Pretty standard pricing.
45. Okay.
I have studded leather currently. Is there anything that would do a bit better to protect me here?
Studded. It's gonna be about the best you can do in terms of light armor. If you're looking at more heavier stuff, we got chain mail, we got scale mail, breastplates, all those pieces can be made.
No, thank you.
Is there
Thank
a
you
way
for
we
your
can
help,
get, I guess, these armor enchanted here by chance?
Enchantments here, definitely more difficult. First off, we got a wait list. Second, it's not exactly cheap. Depending on the enchantment, anywhere between 2 and 25,000 gold pieces.
Okay, very
Usually
nice. I
takes about
think I
6 months to
might.
get done anyway.
Just
Okay.
a little out of our price range, unfortunately.
I do have a kidney I could sell. I don't.
Phelan,
We don't take kidneys.
Dang it.
You wouldn't be the first to try either. So,
Galahad's just looking at the glass case of the plate mail, like, ooh.
so studded.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the studded then, and
Perfect. You want to do your leathers in trade, or you want to keep them?
You can keep them. Yeah, I don't need them.
That's fine. We'll give you 5 gold off, so it costs you 40 instead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very nice. I love me a good deal. Okay, yes.
Yeah, 50% trade. All right. Changing rooms back there. Go ahead and pick out a set that fits you as best you can. We'll make the adjustments if anything needs to be done. Should be in and out in 20 minutes. You, lady.
And he gestures towards Margot just to make sure. I mean, he's a gnome. You're a dragon.
Margot at this point just realizes it's probably better not to blow up an armor shop. and just goes and points to the little girl and be like, "Her, do you have anything her size?"
Oh yeah, she's our size. What are you looking for her?
Light.
Light?
A cloak, something.
And
He's like, yeah, we've got leathers over there as well. I don't think she's quite strong enough to be wearing studded, but leathers at least make it so that she stands a bit of a fighting chance.
Gilda, would you be okay with wearing some leather armor while we travel?
And you can see that she's kind of looking around and like eyes are wide open and just looks at you and goes, "Yeah." And is like so excited at the idea of wearing armor. Like, just literally the best thing in the world. She's being given a dagger and armor. Yeah, she's stoked.
So Margot just takes the 45 out of her own pouch and immediately hands it over, and she like reaches up to like get Gilda off of Galahad's shoulders, and she's like, "Come."
Sorry, regular leathers is only 10. I mean, I'd appreciate the tip, but I don't want to overcharge you.
What else do you have that could potentially fit her? Besides just that.
Well, it's less about fitting.
Do you have an extra set of standard clothes?
That would also be useful, yes.
Clothes? No. We are an armory. There are a bunch of different places in the city you could find that could probably help you do that, though. I mean, herbalist shops usually got decent stuff around. There's a bunch of different places, some silk and garment shops, depending on how fancy you want to get.
Well then, keep the 10 and I'll take the 35. Gilda, come here.
Deal.
And she's just gonna motion for Gilda to get off of Galahad's shoulders.
And you can see she like kind of like reaches out and like kind of half kneels on his shoulders and then hops down off the side with your assistance.
I have not taken my eyes off of this arcbolt looking armor.
Yeah, you're just looking at it and like really awkwardly. Everybody's just like, no, come, like, and she has to like look behind her and like kind of fall back into your arms a little bit, like trust fall off of his shoulders.
So Margot like kind of wraps her arms gently, sets Gilda down, and she goes, go change.
And she grabs a set of armor that she thinks fits, goes into the back, and it's definitely way too big. Comes back out and has to get a smaller set and goes back in. So between her and Phelan, probably 20-25 minutes or so for you guys to get all set up and actually armored properly. But she comes out and looks the part, all 4'1" of her and standing in her leather armor.
When she walks out with her final set of leather armor, Jules will kind of gesture to her and do a spin. Let us see if it fits you right.
Yeah, she kind of like spins around a little bit. And you can see that her arms don't really go perfectly down. They go like mostly down because it is a little bulky. But yeah, it does seem to fit. It's definitely the right size. It's the right fitting for her. You would imagine that this is definitely going to do at least a little bit rather than her just, bare skin underneath clothes.
I imagine Margot and Jules are like sitting there like, yes, and does it come in pink? No. Just be like,
come in red.
Jules will walk over and do the thing that like parents do when you put a kid in a life jacket, which is lift it up from the side and move it around and make sure it's nice and secure. And
go ahead and just make a strength check for me really quick.
A strength check? Oh, I'm bad at that.
While she's doing that, Margot's gonna look at Gilda and be like, well, how does it feel?
13.
13? Okay. It feels pretty good. I mean, I definitely feel secure. And Jules, you just kind of grab the front of it and like, let's see. And you just go, boom, and you lift her up off the ground by the armor. And she kind of dangles a little. Her neck is like kind of caught in the top of the armor. And she's just kind of, oh shit. Okay, put her back down. It's definitely on there and is well fitted. Like, kind of like picking up a kid in a life jacket.
Love that.
Les, yeah?
Just standing watch outside of the shop. Just want to take a general surveying of the area, just seeing if any shiftiness may be going down.
Absolutely. Make a perception check for me.
Even if I'm like Paul Blart mall cop just like looking at someone. Maybe they're not even shifty, but I'm like, hey, keep walking. What skill? Perception?
Yeah.
Careful, me and my 3-day-old fish will come at you.
15.
15. All right. Looking around, a lot of gnomes. I mean, it's a city of gnomes. Kind of makes sense. You see a lot of people ferrying between different shops. You see a couple of people more nicely dressed. A couple of people that are probably coming out from on their break from a really early morning shift in the factories, covered in soot, little bits of grease and oil everywhere. There are a lot of Crownsguard, specifically in view, more so than you had seen. So you would get the impression that you're definitely being left at a distance, but being watched.
Shifty gnomes, they could be hiding anywhere.
A couple of them just kind of like scurry past
look
you a
down.
little bit. Yeah. So with that inside, all of you changing into your armor, Galahad, you admiring that piece for as long as you would be. The guy kind of coming around from the side. And,
Yeah, it's a pretty nice little set you got there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's armor,
and he taps on the glass case kind of lightly.
lightning resistance. One of the finest pieces we've ever made. Shame the adventurer died before he picked it up.
Margot like looks over after looking over, like after I imagine Margot and Jules are just hounding Gilda like concerned ants, and taking her quinceañera shopping. I imagine like we're like she like looks back and she goes, "Does it come in XXL?" No offense, Galahad.
It's magically enchanted. It comes to whatever size you are.
Nice.
It's a little expensive, but I mean, it has been sitting up there for a year and a half. Nobody's bought it. You interested, big boy?
I mean, I don't really have that much gold on me, but I could put it on my wish list. How much you charging for it?
Original price put it at 5,000. Given the down payment made by the would-be individual who bought it, put down half, so that's 2,500. I let it go for 2.
I'll definitely keep that in mind next time.
Jesus.
And so you sit, and you can see that he's kind of like almost longing after the armor, like kind of will be probably a little upset the day that it finally does sell, but like kind of wishing that he would be the one to actually wear it. But yeah. So 2,000 gold pieces for its half plate armor of lightning resistance, so half damage from all sources of lightning while you're wearing it.
Actually,
yeah.
So if I may, so Galahad, you're not able to obviously buy this armor. Would I be able to hear this conversation going on from standing outside?
With that 15 perception check, I'll say sure.
Okay, so kind of hearing that and seeing a lot of, with the tension, seeing a lot of the Crownsguard around, kind of getting a sense that like people are kind of guarding us at a distance, even if they're just keeping tabs on us. And I'm like, I think we'll be cool. I want to step back inside, hearing that, and like, did I hear that there was some very fancy armor being appraised in here?
And you kind of like look around a little bit, and you see this glass display case with Galahad and this shorter male gnome standing in front of it, and you see the armor immediately, and
Yeah.
Well, that is a very fine piece, if I do say so myself. Galahad, this would serve you very, very well, would it not? It'd be a very fine piece for someone as famous as you.
Famous?
Famous?
simultaneously.
Yes, of course, famous. This is the famous adventurer, Galahad the Fifth. Also known as Galahad the Five, Galahad the Brave, Galahad the Terrible. I'm sure you've known the stories.
Jules is looking very confused.
He kind of listening to those descriptions, Galahad the Fifth, Galahad the Brave, Galahad the Terrible, is just kind of like,
Antonyms. What?
And like,
Oh, no, I know, it's a common misconception. He's terrible at keeping his enemies alive, you see. It's kind of a play on words.
Oh, I get it. Oh, so you're an adventurer. Well, I mean, obviously given your troop, and in fact you're buying armor. But
Margot looks over at Jules and just silently mouths, "What?"
Now, I know that someone as very cunning and handsome gnome businessman such as yourself knows the value of good marketing, no?
Hearing Galahad or hearing Les starting to fib, I'll like chime in as well and look at Galahad and back at the dealer and say, Did you not hear about his most recent exploits? Oh my goodness, saving mountains from exploding in the whole city and saving them. Yes, of course. Oh my goodness. And like Les said, having somebody like that wearing your armor, it would talk for itself.
Can Margot accidentally roll a persuasion check and just be like, "Oh yes, without him a bomb would have gone off and possibly could have tumbled this whole town"?
So you're going to be assisting here because you and Phelan are assisting Les, who had the original idea. So Les, I'll say, go ahead and I'll give you the straight persuasion check. No advantage, just straight persuasion roll, or deception, up to you, because you're kind of doing a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know what that means? No disadvantage.
Yeah, it would be a disadvantage, but because all of you were kind of piling on a little bit.
Well, Margot was just being kind of like a little bit catty, but she's like, "Oh yeah, no, without him."
Well, they're both +0, so we'll say persuasion, sure.
Straight roll.
Oh, 14.
14, okay. You see him just kind of like looking up at the armor, looking at Galahad, looking at you, looking at all of you, and just kind of...
I mean... Wait a sec. Blowing up the city?
Now, he didn't do that, obviously. That wasn't him that was going to do
being blown
He
up.
stopped it, that's right. Galahad the Anti-Exploder is another name we're working on.
All right.
It's a metaphor, truly a word of the mouth.
Galahad just has the biggest deer in headlights face right now.
You let me put my branding on the back of it. I'll take off another 5. Make it 1,500.
Why were we arguing? We barely have like 500 put together. What the fuck?
I know, but I'm like, I was saying, like, that's not bad. You know, the 500 off is pretty good, but you know, you got to think about how much business would come into your shop seeing this famous adventurer wearing your wares. The amount of money that you will make alone from new business would just be astronomical. Would you consider a rental fee?
A rental fee on armor to adventurers?
Yes, exactly.
Get out of my shop.
Like a waste of a deposit.
Right, I'll just get right. And then he just turns around.
I know a con when I hear one. A discount on a price is one thing. Adventurers of your size and ilk, I'm willing to work within the bounds of reason. Renting armor, especially of this kind, is unheard of.
I think not necessarily armor, but maybe, I guess, down payments. We are about to head over to Rexentrum, and
a down payment was made to make the armor, good friend. At this point, it is fully relieving it from my collection. I have invested money, not only in the armor itself and the pay of my workers, but in the diamonds and the sapphires encrusted to make the enchantment.
How about installments? You got a bank that can finance. Put that shit on his head.
Make a persuasion check at disadvantage.
Okay.
I've left.
I know you're out of the room now.
No, Margot, just under her breath, she's like, "Oh yes, I heard of this merchant called Klarna who accepts installments."
At this point, she's like,
so I didn't even need to roll the disadvantage because my first one was a nat 1.
And he's just kind of...
Now, 1,500 is already a big enough discount. I mean, I'm taking 500 off because it's been sitting there for ages. I'm giving you another 20% off of that. Anything lower than that, even if installments, there's no guarantee on seeing my initial investment. I'd rather look at the bloody thing than see it buried in a swamp somewhere on a dead carcass.
Galahad, allow us to finish our shopping for the day, and if we have enough leftover gold, we may circle back. Or we can circle back again at a later point in time.
Now that is an amiable idea. Armor fits,
gestures over towards Phelan and the girl kind of nods really excitedly.
And
Alright.
I look pretty.
It suits you well, big man. I like the tufts coming out. Looks good.
Thank you.
All right. Be on your way then. Remember,
Yeah.
if you didn't get it here, it ain't worth shit.
And he lets you head out.
On the way out, I just look back with this really embarrassed look on my face, just like,
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Jules will reach her hand all the way up to his shoulder and just give it a small pat.
And you can see now that, like, with Gilda stepping out, like, Galahad, you're just, like, kind of gesture up, and she's like, no. And she, like, wants to walk around in her new set of armor around the city. Is just super excited about it. But
Can we just let Gilda lead the way? She just like charging into the crowd. She's like, I don't know where I'm going, but look at me.
He did tell you that's actually part of the thing is because you asked him like, oh, can we do this and get a dagger? And he pointed out where you guys actually have to go to get those things, so you don't have to make another roll. And she's just charging down the road, leading the party, and all of you are kind of following behind, making sure that nobody's giving her too much gruff. And you eventually do come out to a shop that does match the description that he gave. So you're looking at now at the Steelbringer's Forge, and this one is very, very nice. Kind of inlaid gold and silver filigree writing out Steelbringer's Forge, and then the sword is kind of an underline, a blade underneath the word forge.
As we follow behind Gilda, Jules will walk up to Margot and kind of lean in and not whisper, but say quietly, my little sister is the same age as Gilda. It's nice seeing a kid happy.
It's true. It is nice. It makes me wish I had the opportunity myself.
Me too.
All right. So
Before we head in, also, I'd like to tap Galahad and say, if you wanted to, I could just swipe that armor for you before we leave town.
I appreciate the thought, but that is probably a really bad idea. Come back.
Yes, but when have we ever had a good idea?
That's a fair point, but still. I think I'd rather not.
Okay, if you
Anger
change your
anyone.
mind, just let me know. I got you.
I think you'll be waiting a while for that conversation.
He has to remain in that good boy status.
Got you. Gotta corrupt Galahad, it's fine.
No.
Alrighty. So pushing your way inside into the Swordsmiths Shop, you see in comparison to everything being out and kind of on racks and people just being able to flip through different pieces of armor, this one is kind of the opposite, where you've got a very narrow front entranceway, kind of a little bit of a taller front tables from all the way down, and then a little swinging door on the end, which seems to be where the owners go in and out from the front area. And all of the weapons are definitively behind the counter, a series of them on different racks of different sizes. You can see large battle axes and swords and daggers and all kinds of different designs. Some very, very nice, in comparison to the functional aspect of what the armor is, this is more high-end. Some of it definitely for actual practical use, but some of it probably as adornment pieces, right? Dulled blades, blunted tips to make sure that they're not actually damaging to anyone, but can still look the part in a mansion of some kind. And you see that there are two people working behind, a man and a woman, about the same age, pretty similar height, pretty similar hair, pretty similar features. And you can see, hey, Fitz, head up front, head up front. And this kind of shorter guy ends up coming up front. Yes, what can I do for you?
I imagine Gilda just immediately like raced in head first.
She opened up the door and is like kind of leaning over the counter a little bit and like looking at all the armor pieces and stuff, or the weapons, I should say. And like this guy ends up coming back and kind of like maneuvering himself to be like preventing her from falling over the counter to the other side where they're working with all the weapons.
Margot's gonna go up to the shop seller, and just kind of, Gilda, come here.
Hello.
So, she's gonna wait for Gilda to remove her face from the wall, basically.
Like takes a step back and just kind of like settles in, and you can see that she's just kind of like bouncing a little bit, like real excited.
So Margot's gonna put her hand on top of her head to like stop her from bouncing and just be like, I'm looking for two things personally. Do you have any sort of weapons that, well, can be added to claws or will enhance claws?
I mean, it's something we could definitely do. Take some particular measurements and take a bit of time to make them. It's not exactly something to have off the rack, though. Probably take
Otherwise,
a couple of weeks.
Do you have any sort of spiked brass knuckles?
Oh.
You can see that, like, legitimately thinking.
I mean, we could try for something. I'm not exactly sure. We'd have to do some kind of a joint job between ourselves and the armorsmith.
If they hinder me from using my actual claws, I'm not interested. But moving on, she's gonna point to Gilda with her hand still on her head. I need a dagger for this one. Nothing ornamental, light and swift, but not easy to break.
All right, lady, know what she likes. I can do that. Hold on.
And he turns around and kind of makes his way out towards the back, and you can see him kind of pull out a rather large wooden rack with about probably 8 to 10 daggers on it, a couple of empty slots down along the bottom, and he pulls it up towards the front and places it down. And these are definitely very functional. Now, some of them are a little bit on the nicer side. You can see some platinum inlay in a couple of them. There are some that would probably be ornamental pieces, but he gestures over to 4 specific ones that definitely look as balanced, functional, definitely what you would come to expect from a dagger. And one of them in particular actually stands out as a very, very fine piece.
Right, so these are the pieces that you'll be looking at. We'd be looking at standard dagger pricing, nothing out of the ordinary, really. But this one right here.
He very carefully takes it off, and with just a thumb kind of balancing it and turning the entire dagger over so it's just balanced perfectly on his thumb.
This one I'm particularly proud of. No real enchantments of any kind, just a very, very fine-edged blade. Much sharper than you would normally be able to get. Perfectly balanced, great for distance.
And how much would that cost us?
That one particular, 200. Standard one is 2 gold, obviously, if you're just looking for something simple.
Can Margot wants to go and hold it herself to inspect it.
Okay. And you pick it up, and like expecting a little bit of weight to it, you pick it up and your hand just shoots up because it's so light. Like it almost feels like something that should not have a weight to it, and you kind of, even somebody who isn't really particularly that adept with daggers, you find yourself kind of flipping it back and forth in your hand very easily.
So Margot's gonna like flip it, basically hold the blade in hand, the hilt of it over to Gilda, and just be like, don't brandish it around. Just hold it and tell me what you feel.
She kind of picks it up, and it's really light.
What did I just say, Gilda?
Well, I thought you meant outside. I mean, we're safe. We're inside.
Gilda.
Okay. I mean, it's nice.
Outside, you can play with it.
Oh, that's the opposite of what I thought you'd say.
I don't think play is the right turn of phrase, but train.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's really nice, but it's really expensive. I mean, I'd be happy with just one of these ones. And she points to the other 3. It's not like I'm going to be really fighting. I mean, it's more just to make sure if anything surprises me that I've got a little something I can,
Margot is gonna basically like hold out her pouch in front of her and just rifle through for her gold and just basically be like, it doesn't matter to me because gold was never anything that I was aiming for in the first place. And she's just gonna go to like reach for 200 gold like out of her own pouch.
Do you have 200 gold?
Jules will gesture and be like, I can cover half of the price.
So at that point, Margot like kind of dips and like puts 100 of her own personal gold like on the table.
And Jules will take out the other 100.
Pleasure doing business with you. And he swipes the money off the counter. Enjoy it, young one. Just be very careful. It's very sharp. And you can see that Gilda's just kind of holding onto the blade and like very carefully making sure that the pointy end is going the other way. But he also kind of heads into the back, drops off the large display of all the different daggers, and comes back out with a sheath that is definitely a little bit nicer than what you would normally expect, and he kind of like fashions it onto a nice piece of leather so that she can wear the sheath on her belt. And then the dagger fits perfectly inside a little buckled clasp going over the handle to make sure that it stays inside there without falling out.
Now, Gilda, keep an eye on that as we're moving through the city in case someone attempts to pickpocket you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited. Thank you, and like really just yells it towards the back, and you can see the guy and the girl just kind of lean up to the front and kind of wave a little bit, and then they kind of look at each other, and you can see that like the girl kind of furrows her brow a little bit, and you just hear a little, "You idiot! Can't sell daggers to kids."
Someone's got a head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
There's money to be made.
But there is money to be made. The dagger is sold. The purchase is made. Alrighty.
Best part.
So wrapping up
Yeah,
that.
I wanted to just do the same thing as last time, standing outside the shop, just surveying the area once more, just to get a lay of the land.
Yeah, go and make another perception check for me.
Nat 20.
Oh, 17. That's an unnatural 20.
Wow.
A natural 20. The number of guards is definitely still present. They seem to be watching every street that could be an exit or entry from where you currently are. They're not encroaching. It's not like they're, blockading you or anything like that, or trying to corral you in a specific place. But it definitely seems to be something that the Crown's Guard within the city are keeping a close eye.
Like those lame FBI agents that are trying to be incognito. They're just like flipping newspapers and just like looking around.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So heading out of the shop, you've got the dagger, you've got the armor. All of you kind of outfitted a little bit. I'm assuming making your way towards the lay of the land at this point.
Yes.
Awesome. Alrighty. So making your way over to the lay of the land only takes a couple of minutes. You had been there before, and so you're able to make your way inside, and you see the familiar sights and the large tree that's kind of seeming to grow out of the center of the shop. All of the ornamental pieces on the sides, the really, really nice inlaid brooms. You've got all of the large scroll pieces. You've got massive cartography stations, a series of candles, plates, dried herbs, all kinds of rations, jars with different liquids in them, everything that you would come to expect. And then behind the counter, Zendasa kind of looks up and, "Oh, it's so good to see all of you again.
Hey,
I take it
very nice to see.
it was a success."
It was. Thanks to your potions, That's why we're here for more.
Well, I'm sure that my potions were just a small part of it.
Well, you see.
Sounds kind of different.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what Kevin did for her voice.
No, I knew that.
We'll say that she had
She's on that blue cactus.
she's
I think I did like a Matthew McConaughey really shitty impression. So I was like, all right.
Well, she's a woman now, so ha. Anyway.
Too much blue cactus makes your voice change.
Yeah, she's been microdosing. It's fine. What? Anyway. But yeah. So, what is it I can do for you today?
What are your healing potion stocks looking like?
Oh, more potions, right? And she kind of gestures underneath and pulls up a kind of a large wooden box and slides off the top of it. And you hear the rattling of different different glass bottles inside, and pulls out 1, 2, 3. I've got 5 at the moment. 50 gold pieces each.
Okay. Very nice. And while we keep looking and stuff, do you have any maps around by chance?
Of course, maps of Huppaduke, or maps of different cities, or of the
We are
entire
headed to
empire?
Rexentrum, so something to lead us there, I guess.
A region map, of course.
That'd
She
be
kind of
wonderful.
turns around, and you can see that she starts shuffling through a series of large scrolls, kind of in long wooden tubes, and then shuffling through, clacking a couple of them down, eventually pulls one out, and here we are. A region map for the Empire, and spreads it out onto this massive cartography table. And it is a full-blown map of most things within the Empire. A lot of the major roads and routes that are taken to get between them as well, so it kind of outlines exactly where it is you would be going.
As she lays that out, Jules is going to peek over and see if they can spot where Feldwin is.
Feldwin? Yeah. So Feldwin is pretty much due south of where you are. The road kind of zigzags a little bit, and you're kind of tracing your finger down and using the legend. You'd imagine it's about 290 miles, 300 miles, somewhere in that route. At a regular pace, it would probably take you about 12 days to get there. If you were moving at a really fast pace, you could probably push it to 9.
Is it on our way to the capital?
Opposite direction. Capital is northwest. Feldwin is due south.
Okay. All right.
Damn.
I'll just peer over and look at the map.
Well, it looks like if we're taking the road, we take the eastern road and then go north. Unless we want to cut through.
So if you guys have Twitch pulled up, you'll see that the map is going to be in the center of the screen now.
Ooh.
Oop, whoop, whoa.
So specifically, I'm just going to unlock this. Forgive me, chat. This is going to look a little awkward, but I'm going to zoom in on the area that you guys are.
Enhance.
Enhance. Ooh, gabagoo. Papa boy. Baba booey.
This is real awkward because this map does not zoom as well as I would like. Well, I'll see if I can find a better one. Hang on.
I can.
That one should be pretty good. I thought it was like an HD one.
No, that's the web one. The one that I downloaded is less. Hang on. Let's see if I can get this into a better one. Hold on. Doop-a-doo. Sorry, guys.
Loading.
But yeah,
Loading.
it would be like based on what you can see, it would take probably about 12 days to get down to Feldwin at a regular pace. If you were looking at going to Rexentrum, it would be about, give or take, 16 days in the opposite direction. And before you'd be able to get there, you could probably push that 16 days down to 12, but there would definitely be no way to hit both of them within a month.
Are we gonna have to take like the Glory Run Road?
Yeah. So I'm gonna zoom right in on this guy here. Let's see if I can get this
Oh no, Molly, please.
to the right sizing.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. Wait.
There we go. We're getting it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All right, so there we go. So you've got Huppaduke, which is where you guys are right now.
There we go.
You can see Feldwin is pretty much due south of there. And if you wanted to make your way over towards Rexentrum, that's kind of top left, you would have to go through the Crisp Vale Thicket and then follow the Glory Road to get all the way up towards Rexentrum.
That's crispy.
Ooh, boy. Okay.
So it is a pretty long way. So no matter what, you're kind of looking at about the same time in both directions, give or take 3 or 4 days. But it would be up to you to decide which direction you wanted to go first.
Yeah. If we headed down to Feldwin. Thank you. How long would it take us to get to Rexentrum from there?
It would take you about 12 days at a regular pace to go down to Feldwin. If you made it fast pace, you could do it in 9. To go all the way back up, taking the fastest possible route, it would take you, because I did the math on this, 27 days at a normal pace.
or 20 days at a fast pace. So, yeah.
Was there a time limit on when she wanted us to be there? I don't think she did. They did.
Ludinus, no. They did not have a specific time frame that they needed you to drop the girl off in Rexentrum. It was just to bring Gilda there. Felderwin, Jules was given, again, I'm not sure how much of this you shared, but you were given essentially within the month. And it's kind of at the beginning of the month at this point, so you figure you've got about 30 days.
I only shared it with Margot, so fun.
Can Margot notice Jules fretting over the map and like seeing where she's looking?
Yeah, it's very obvious. Jules is normally very flat and very, seemingly emotionless, but she's very much worried at this point over this.
So at this point, Margot sees Jules sweating over this map. And is Jules making it really obvious that she's looking exactly at Felderwin or like more south?
Yeah, she was.
There's a couple of times, where Jules will follow her finger along the roots and do the math and figure out the legend and look nervous.
And then Margot's just gonna quietly just be like, you want to avoid going south, don't you?
I need to go south. Otherwise, I won't be able to complete that mission.
Well, I suppose I'm also needed south in a way.
Nebula roll to see if he hears this conversation being had.
Sure. Go and make a perception check for me.
Because your boy is in the room.
Yeah.
Nebula, sus.
That's a nat 20.
Hey!
I'll say, you would be able to catch enough of it that, like, you would know that Felderwin is of importance to Jules. That she doesn't really want to go there, but kind of has to, given that exchange that was had yesterday. But,
And Nebula, kind of understanding that, is just going to sort of chime in while looking around the potion shop. Like, he hears all this, and he's just going to, still looking like elsewhere, is just going to chime in. Well, we weren't exactly given a deadline as to when we needed to deliver the child to
Gilda.
who knows what.
Grogu.
The child.
The question is, which one of us is Mando?
And yeah,
It's my ringtone, isn't it?
Nebula just kind of chimes in that we weren't really given a time frame to deliver Gilda. Perhaps she'd like to stretch her legs.
And you can see that she's wandering around the shop looking at all the little trinkets that are within reach for her, and is like kind of pulling stuff down and looking at it and being very careful not to break anything. Like, you can tell she actively cares about making sure that everything is maintained, but wants to just feel and look at every possible thing she can.
Yes, I have been given a task of sorts by the gentleman that...
Sorry, I just saw chat. Jules, I don't know if you've seen it.
I'm sorry.
We
Margalorian.
have the Margalorian.
It's the saint.
Hales, you know that has to be the next art piece you do, is Margot with the Mando helmet on.
Margot
With the
yell
horns
at
coming
fuse,
out.
it'd be the perfect Mando.
Oh, man.
I
Anyway.
have my Mando helmet around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it.
Sorry. Anyway, Jules. Back to moment of-
After hearing Nebula's kind of somewhat acknowledgement that way, Jules will turn to the rest of the party and say, I have been given a sort of task, and she'll take out the letter and hold it up and kind of gesture it to the rest of the group, given to me by the gentleman that we ran into the other day. How do I pronounce his name again? I keep forgetting.
It's all good. His name is Alajen.
Alajen He works for my family, and I have been given a task that I have to complete within the month's time in Feldwyn, which is south and not the way we're going currently. And it doesn't seem like I'll be able to complete it if we head directly to the capital. Would it be all right by the rest of you if we made our way south first?
I have no problem. I have nowhere else to be. However, why within the month? What happens if that does not happen? If you're not able to complete the task within the month?
I'm taken home. And she's standing there and fidgeting with one of the rings on her fingers, just anxious, saying that.
Well,
At
if
that
your home
point-
is with us, then they're not going to be able to take you away. So I guess we got to complete it.
Yeah.
They won't take her away.
Nebula is going to chime into Margot's comment there and say, family can be very persuasive.
Then it's a good thing, as you have said, that I have a penchant for not listening.
More like controlling than persuasive, Nebula. But yeah.
And he'll chuckle at that and say, I know. So, have we a bit of a detour, it sounds? I do love a good adventure.
I haven't been to Felderwind before. I think that'd be nice.
Who
All right.
knows? Maybe that's where we're supposed to be.
Les Paul is outside, not hearing any of this right now. He thinks we're going to the city still.
We don't tell him anything.
You don't need to.
Oh!
So,
So, friend, how much for the map then?
Well, the one that you're holding right now is a very highly detailed piece. It would be 5 gold pieces.
Okay. So, 5 gold for the map, and do we get a discount if we buy bulk in the potions, or is anybody wanting anything else?
If you were to buy all of the potions, I suppose I could include the map. Maybe 1 or 2 small trinkets around. Perhaps this could be of some use. And she pulls out like an ink black liquid and just kind of puts it out beside the bottles. But it's
What is that?
It's in a container that's stoppered at the top. Well, the potions are good for healing. This is good for curing. It removes a poison, a disease of some kind, distilled from a very fine rosewood and rosemary and a bit of lavender. The color is a bit off-putting to most people, but those of your disposition, I'm sure, wouldn't mind drinking a bit of black liquid every once in a while.
Now, pardon me, but do you happen to have any potions that might improve the effects of fire?
Ooh, improve the effects of fire. I'll be honest, most of the things that I have would be to put fire out, dear. Unfortunately, that one would be something that you would have to engage, regrettably, with the military to try and find any kind of gunpowder that they might have their hands on.
It just seems as if this world may be not meant for someone like me.
I'm sure that your talents are quite formidable. So,
I just think people don't know how to utilize your talents, Margot.
It's not every day you have somebody throwing fire at you through their throat.
Some could say that they figured out a use for dragon coals, but you know.
Shut the fuck up! Too soon! No!
It's fine, everything's fine.
You're gonna turn Margot into the angry emotion from Disney Pixar's movie. Just gonna go.
So we've got the healing covered. What else do you have around? I'm gonna ask the shopkeep.
Oh, well, we have some lovely scrying discs. I'm not sure if any of you are of that disposition. And she pulls out some very perfectly polished, smooth, mirror-like surfaces. We have a series of very nice wine skins and water skins, rations that will hold for at least 30 days. Just general use kind of items. And she kind of peruses a little bit and pulls out things like a bag of ball bearings, a series of torches, bed rolls, hempen rope, kind of general adventuring equipment. So if there is anything that you guys wanted specifically to get, pretty much anything that's on the general adventuring gear table that's under 20 gold pieces, she would be able to sell. So just general things. If there's anything you think of, you don't have to tell me right now, but if there's like something specific that you think of before we have our next session, you can just mark that off and add it to your inventory and let me know.
I'll just grab a potion of healing, I reckon.
Okay.
The 25
as well.
So there's 5 gold pieces. 5 potions, 50 gold pieces each, so a total of 250, and that'll include the map and a potion of antitoxin, which is essentially a cure poison and disease potion.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll place down
70.
50 gold.
I will as well.
I'll put down
drop
50.
50.
Margot takes out her pouch and puts down 50.
All right. And Nebula?
Yeah, Nebula's gonna nab a potion as well for 50.
Perfect.
Is this a potion of lesser, greater, blah, blah, blah,
Standard
blah?
potion of healing, so 2d4
Standard.
plus 2. All right, so potions are distributed one each, and then one person is able to get the antitoxin poison as well, potion as well.
Looking over this woman, this shopkeep, Nebula wants to sort of look them over and look for any sort of, oh god, I'm stumbling on words here. I am looking to see if they have any ailments of themselves.
Okay, go ahead and make a medicine check for me.
Sure. Where's my medicine? All right, so it's going to be a +1 to. That's a 10.
11. So yeah, looking at her, she looks to be in pretty good health. Not overly old, probably, mid-late 50s or so. Definitely a bit of a bounce in her step. Doesn't seem to be suffering from any kind of fatigue given her age. Gnomes also do live for quite a while, so kind of realizing that, you're like, oh, she's actually probably quite young, and is bounding up stairs, bounding up little ladders, pulling down bits and pieces. Nothing seems to be ailing her from what you can see.
Okay. Then yeah, he's gonna put down the 50 and take the potion.
Beautiful. Alrighty, so potion acquired, all of you having those. Any other knickknacks you can let me know after the session, but with that, I'm assuming out on your way?
Yeah?
Yeah. Jules, do you mind grabbing a hold of the potion of vitality, I guess, or
Antitoxin.
curing antitoxin? I think if there's, you like ranged combat, so hopefully if someone goes down or is in need of it, I'm hoping you would be able to administer it.
Yeah, I can hold on to that.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Hey Les, I think we might be doing a detour.
Oh, what?
And
No, it's completely on our way. Don't worry about it.
While he's saying that, I wanted to make sure I got another look around.
Another perception check.
Yeah.
Roll
That's
those
11.
dice.
11. You know what to look for at this point. The DC has dropped substantially, right, with your 2 successes before.
Yeah.
They're still there. Seems to be 2 guards on each entry or exit street from where you currently are. So a total of 6 of them from the 3 paths that you have off at this point. And they're far enough away that they're not encroaching, right? Like, nobody would normally see them unless you were actively looking for them. And in your case, because you had noticed them before, you just catch little glints of armor. Weapons are sheathed. They seem to just be keeping an eye.
All right. After I say that, I go, wait, detour? What? What do you mean detour? And I kind of rush into the shop. What do you mean we're going to detour? We're going to Rexentrim.
Yes, we are going to Rexentrim. However, before we get to Rexentrim, we're going to hit up Felderwind.
Why do we need to go to Felderwind? That's the exact opposite of where we're going.
There's something that I need to complete within the month there.
Complete what?
A task.
Are people like within earshot of this conversation?
You're inside the shop at this point, so no.
Okay.
You need to complete a task. What? Like, pick up a bag? What kind of task?
We had a prior engagement that we need to wrap up. A bit of a time-sensitive thing, return a thing, and then we'll be on. But nothing too major, and we would adore your assistance.
Is this going to be a dangerous task? We do have a little girl to ferry around, you know?
We would never do something so irresponsible. And he just like smiles.
Do I
Spec
believe
is
you?
fucking rolling in his grave right now. Rolling.
You see Les, you kind of like look over as at the mention of the little girl, and you see that like she's definitely kind of found a little place where she's looking at stuff on the walls, but the buckle of her dagger is undone. She's kind of pulled it out and is like kind of stabbing a little bit forward, just kind of getting used to the weight of it.
I mean, if you point her forward, she might be able to stab something, but like you're not properly trained.
They grow up so fast.
With like hearing that, she just kind of, oh shit, and like puts the dagger away, and you hear the audible snap as the buckle is closed.
You're willing to risk this girl's life for your task. Is that important?
I either complete this task within the month or you won't hear from me for a very long time.
It is important to me that we complete this task.
All right, person I just met.
You don't have to come with us. You can go off, get a different job, join a different group.
I have to go where the girl goes, you see. And if I'm gonna need you all to get through Rexentrim if I'm to deliver on this task. So if this is of great importance to you and it cannot be alleviated, I'd rather have one more body than one less body. So I will accompany you on this task, but let it be known, she is my priority.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Alrighty. So I think right there is going to be our moment as you guys are stepping outside back onto the streets to head off to your last task and grab your horses. We're going to take our quick little break, give ourselves 10 minutes, refill our drinks, grab any little bits of food that we want, and we'll come back in after that. So we'll see you guys in chat.
Episode.
Yeah. Shopping and apparently fathering and mothering children.
Yeah, that took a turn real quick. We are all
Parenting!
Parenting children.
I didn't
Awesome.
sign up for this.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat. We'll see you guys back here in about 10 minutes. And we're back. Thanks everybody for sticking with us through the break. Appreciate you guys sticking around. If you saw any ads, thank you. They help support the channel. Yeah. But we're going to dive right back in. So, as you guys make your way outside of the Lay of the Land Herbalist, back onto the central roads within the city of Hupperduke, you hear, not too far off in the distance, the occasional series of horses and the smell of dung kind of wafting down a little bit. That now that you're kind of turning your attention toward the stables and kind of getting the last couple of pieces required before you embark on your journey. Alrighty, so making your way down the road, you eventually find yourselves standing out in front of a fairly substantial set of stables. A couple of large kind of off-brown barns, a series of different colored horses. You've got a couple of massive Clydesdales that are just kind of being led by these gnomes that are barely up past their ankle on their legs, just kind of up to the different stables and tying them off, all the way down to some very, very miniature horses that are kind of being ridden by a couple of different people, testing them around as kind of little trots to go around the town as need be. But you've got a series of hands that are all available to you, all of them kind of dressed in long, kind of off-color aprons and straw on the ground and a series of bits of hay that horses are tucking into.
Okay.
All right. Everybody seems to just kind of not be paying attention to you too much, and the horses are just available for you to kind of go up and interact with if you'd like.
Is anybody here proficient in riding horses, friends? At least I've ridden once or twice, but like I don't know.
Yes, well, kind of got a lot of experience riding seahorses. They're very sturdy and nice, but real horses is give or take.
If we're asking in a situation here, Nebula does have some history with this, as he has some animal handlings, but it's not like anything major. It's just standard like paladin training.
That's fair. Okay.
Well, if no one else has any excessive training, I suppose I could look them over.
That would be wonderful.
So yeah, Nebula will approach the horses and look them over. We're looking to get, 3 in a wagon, right?
3 in a wagon, yeah. A wagon, I should say, is pulled by 2 horses, and you would need 3. Wagon is pulled by 1 horse. You would need 3 in addition to that. And the wagon effectively seats 4 people.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 driver and 3 people in the back.
Okay. So yeah, Nebula's gonna check out the horses and try and get a feel for a good 4 of them.
Okay. Go ahead and make an animal handling check for me.
Handle those animals.
That is a 9 with my
9.
+1.
Alrighty. Yeah, making your way through. You're not entirely sure what it is, but the horses do seem to be not recoiling from you, but definitely not being as outward towards you as you would normally expect. You're kind of able to overcome that a little bit. A couple of them are kind of a little bit more forgiving. They don't look to be the most physically capable ones. They definitely seem to be the ones that seem to get the most the least appreciation from others coming through looking at purchasing or renting horses for any given reason. But there are a couple of specimens and kind of looking over with your knowledge that you think would be quite good. They just don't seem to interact with you specifically that well.
And he'll relay this information to the group. These ones don't look too bad, but can't say they're the friendliest or perhaps not the most broken in. These back here, we couldn't push them too hard, but they seem like they would handle a novice rider well.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
So, are we more fancy of the novice-friendly horses, or the bit harder to control, but we could probably use them in a pinch horses?
Could I try and interact with / pat one of the horses that seem a bit less cooperative?
Sure, go and make an animal handling check.
Okay.
Galahad 5. Horse
Disney princess, Disney princess, Disney princess.
17.
17. Yeah, something about the coldness of your hands as you're kind of running it over their faces. It is quite a warm day outside, and they do seem to kind of be like nuzzling into it a little bit more. And you kind of get some like odd couple of sniffs that are coming out and kind of the top lipping on the metal on your arms. like nibbling where normally like a person would hurt a little bit and you'd have some kind of a welt. In your case, it's just kind of nibbling on the armor a little. You just hear clank, clank, clank as the teeth shatter against the or touch against the metal. They seem to be legitimately interested in you, and you seem to be getting along quite well with two of the ones that that Nebula said would be good, but that probably weren't the nicest of horses.
Until you sit on them.
Yeah.
You seem
Anyway, but yeah, but they are quite large, and especially in your case too, seeing an animal that's substantially larger than you, looking specifically at a couple of the Clydesdales, it's impressive. The weight that they would be able to carry and probably be able to pull the wagon without any issue, even if with you in it. At this point, with a couple of you kind of looking over a few of the different horses, you've attracted a little bit of attention, and a few of the stable hands end up coming over and, yes, what can we do for you here today?
Yes, we want some horses.
Okay, yeah. Do you need just the horses? Are you looking for anything else? Tack, saddles, feed?
Wagon.
Wagon. Right. We how many people?
We're looking at 3 horses in a wagon. So a wagon that sits like 3 people, I guess.
Right, yeah, pretty standard bundle. We can do that for you.
And she kind of like wanders off a little bit and ends up coming back with a fairly short document just written on a decent piece of parchment, effectively outlining what the costs are. And horses are slated at 75 gold pieces each. And then the wagon would be an additional 75 gold specifically for that, for just kind of like a bog standard, nothing really reinforced in any way, but enough to get everybody loaded up and be able to provide transport without having to walk.
Right, so 375 gold if you're looking at 3 horses in a wagon. Or 4 horses in a wagon, I should say.
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
All right.
That's exactly what we had budgeted. Perfect.
Beautiful. Now it's like these prices are set. Okay.
Wanders off towards the back again.
Does inflation not hit this town?
This is
Devrim.
Hupperdook, baby.
Jim, come over.
And she gestures, and 2 of the other stable hands kind of drop what they're doing, and little bits of hay scatter onto the ground, and then points over and,
Do you want white, brown, or black?
and she points towards the wagons.
I feel like this is a trap.
Oh, we get the black one. We go stealth mode.
Yeah. Stealth!
Nebula leans over and is like, I do like the black one.
Right? Black it is? Yeah?
Double thumbs up.
Perfect. Okay, boys, bring it around.
And you can see that the 2 of them kind of unhitch it and undo a series of straps that are locking it in place. And it gets brought around, and the wheels are sturdy. All of the connections are perfectly fine. It's definitely going to be serviceable. It probably won't withstand a ton of impacts. So, like, this wouldn't be any kind of a war wagon of any stretch or any kind of thing that you could hide in to kind of get a ton of protection from external attacks. But it's definitely going to be serviceable in terms of what you would need just as a transport.
Don't ride the wagon into battle. Got it.
Horses are a different
It's
story.
going to be the first thing we do.
Of course.
Alrighty. So with the 75, you've got your pick of the horses. Galahad, you had the 2 that came over to you and kind of were definitely interested, one of which is a very large Clydesdale. You'd be looking, I don't know if any of you know horses, but it's about 14 and a half hands. So, like, pretty substantial horse.
Big boy.
Big boy. And, wow, I can't believe I actually remembered that. Anyway. And then the other 2 are definitely more serviceable, probably just kind of, standard horses that have not run their prime by any stretch, but are not going to be anything outstanding in any real respect. They'll just be serviceable horses. So you've got the 4 of them.
Right. Saddles for them, I'm guessing, as well. That's included with the wage. I'm assuming you don't have your own.
Yes,
Perfect.
please.
Yes,
All right,
please.
follow me.
And so she would escort all of you inside and kind of have a series of adjustable saddles that would be able to be seated, the blankets, all of the stirrups being included, the lashings and ropings as well. And within probably about an hour or so, you're kind of at the point where all of you are getting a little bit more comfortable having the horses feed from your hands and getting them hooked up onto the wagon, getting a little bit more settled with all of you, with Galahad's high animal handling role originally, him just kind of being able to guide them and them listening and looking at each other. Decent amount of time ends up passing. Gold is passed over. And without any real issue, you've got yourselves 3 standalone horses, a horse hitched to a wagon, and all of you were kind of able to saddle up as need be. Right, is there anything else I can do for you then?
I hope you have a great day.
Oh, I hope you have one too. Bye-bye. She just like exit stage right.
They didn't say a single mean thing, but I want to punch him in the face.
I'm sure they're lovely people.
All right.
To someone.
So with that, you've got your map, your rations, a couple of extra potions, all of the armor and weapon pieces that you could need, and then your horses. Is there anything else you guys would like to do inside Hupperduke?
I'm guessing that along with the saddles, we also had some food for the horses?
Yeah, feed was provided as well, so you've got a decent amount. The beauty of this is with the road that you're traveling, the horses are able to survive pretty well off the land. You've mostly got enough to make sure that if you stop in at a city, you don't need to like actively search out a place, and you'll have enough to get them by overnight.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, I can't think of anything else. Anybody else got anything? If not, we are at the town. Let's blow this
Let's blow this joint, but not literally. That was the first arc of the campaign.
Let's stop this blowing of this town.
Yes.
So,
all right, away we go.
Off south we go.
Heading back out through the massive entry, all of the steam rising off of the city itself. Clocks chiming as the clock strikes about 2 in the afternoon at this point, with the amount of time you spent shopping and having spent a little bit of the morning in the Strossa's mansion before being escorted out. You begin to make your way out onto the road, heading east out from Hupperduke. The road is clean, nice.
Galahad at any point sees any of the Crown's Guard, he's just going to wave at them.
And you do notice as you're passing by, especially on horseback, you are moving pretty quick. In front of you, they seem to be kind of like parting a little bit, kind of knowing, or like at any given point, if you are coming down the way, they're definitely getting out. A couple of the ones that are following behind you seem to be kind of jogging to keep up to the horses. So you definitely are all noticing at this point that there is a bit of a presence that is following you, and you're being given a bit of a wide berth until you hit to the exit to the city. But no incidents, no issues. The Crown's Guard are more than happy to just see you on your way. A couple of them standing up atop the first wall with all the piping and all the water leading into the city itself. You're easily able to make your way out onto the open road. So, with that,
a new journey is upon us, friends!
New journey begins.
I turn back around and shoot 2 Eldritch Blasts at the closest guard, murdering him and his friends.
What?
What are you doing?
Why?
It was I, the villain, all along. I talked. No.
I take the girl and I disappear. This will make a fine trophy for the traveler.
Oh, God. That's so... No. All right. Anyway, so, heading out due east of the city, making your way onto the open road. The day is quite nice. There really isn't anything up in the sky that's preventing you from having a nice, quick day of travel. This is up to you guys now, where you to decide: are you wanting to move at a standard pace? Are you wanting to pick things up a little bit, try to get there a little bit quicker? Because of the roads that you're traveling on, a fast pace is essentially just going to make it that you're a little less perceptive of your surroundings. So, like, as you're looking for stuff to happen during the day, you might just not be able to catch absolutely everything. But it does mean that you shave 25% off of the amount of time it takes for you to get to a place.
I say we book it. The more time we have to finish the mission itself, the better, right?
Put it into H.
I agree.
Alrighty. So, heading out pretty much due east from Hupperduke. The first day's travel is without any issue. Obviously, being that close to the city, the Crown's Guard still has a fairly decent presence out in the outside of the city itself and the surrounding areas for about a good 8 to 10 hours. You make your way out, find a nice little place to camp. The beauty of these roads really is that they're so well traveled that it isn't really anything that's too out of the ordinary. You see a series of different campsites off for the night, larger tents, smaller tents, some people sleeping in different wagons, all of you unrolling your bedrolls and your tents and turning in for the evening. Nothing transpiring. A couple of gusts of wind every once in a while through the evening, but nothing to really disturb you. The following day, I'll get one of you who wants to be our dedicated, not guide per se, but our dedicated encounter roller.
Who's got perception at all?
I've got +3.
Got 2.
I'm sold.
Alrighty, Les.
I trust you with my life, Les Paul.
Les Paul?
You're gonna regret that. No, I'm kidding.
Roll a d10.
A d10? Oh,
Let it be known that now there's 5 party members that sleep standing up. Galahad. Yeah.
I got a 10.
You got a 10.
Yeah, 0.
All right.
Draconic Lich Lord. Let's go.
We're all dead.
Sounds like.
We'll be fine.
Everything's fine.
Les.
Everything's fine.
This is a peaceful day traveling within the Empire. Sun and a few clouds dotted overhead. Nothing of any real importance or issue transpires. A couple of merchant caravans passing by, large open roads. You begin to turn your way south for the second day of travel towards Felderwin. Everything passes by without any issue. Same for the evening, same for the following day. No issues of any kind. You've just got gorgeous weather the whole way through. All right, first 2 days pass without any issue. Third and fourth day, who wants to roll next?
Me.
All right, go ahead. Roll a d10.
A D10. Oh
Gonna roll that 5.
You need D10? That's a D10.
I'm gonna call it now. He's gonna roll a 5 and fuck us.
Gonna roll a 5? Alright. It was a 7.
It was a 7.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
How lucky.
Identical to the past 2 days. The weather is keeping with you. You're making fantastic pace at a very quick pace. Suddenly, within 4 days, you're almost half of the way to Felderwin as your first 4 pass in a blink. It's at the point now where you guys are just kind of really settling into the road. You're finding the horses that work for each of you. You're trading off between the horses and sitting in the wagon, stretching your legs a little bit, keeping up at a good pace. But everything is passing by quite nicely.
While we're traveling, Jules is definitely going to take the time to teach Gilda how to properly use her knife instead of just messing around with it, since she knows a little bit about that.
All right. Are you proficient with daggers?
Simple weapons, I believe. I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, if you say it's simple weapons, I'm pretty sure warlocks are simple weapons.
Yeah.
And daggers are simple weapons, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Simple weapons. Perfect. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely no issue. So you're kind of able to show her, not to the point where she's proficient with it, but she's at least, pointy end goes into the other men, right? Like
Yeah.
she kind of understands that bit, and is definitely getting a feel for what it feels like. As the dagger itself is quite light, for her it's probably about the right weight. One of the heavier ones might have gotten tired after a little bit, but you would imagine that she would be at least moderately accurate. And after a couple of days traveling, you kind of are practicing throwing the dagger a little bit, and she hasn't really had much luck. But by the 4th day, you're able to get it to stick into a tree about 10-15 feet away. So pretty good accuracy at this point.
Cool. Good.
Awesome. Alrighty, 5th and 6th day. Who wants to roll next?
I can go.
All right, Margo, roll a d10 for me.
Oh, we're gonna fight some.
Yeah, we are.
I just know it.
It's a 2.
It's a 2.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Alrighty.
Yeah, we're fucked.
The weather has turned a little bit. The
Oh,
Damn it.
The day is darker with rain. The ground is a little more slick with mud. Progress is a bit slower for the 5th and the 6th day, but overall, no major holdups. Occasional wagon that's kind of stopped off the side of the road, clearing mud from its tires. But you're not overloaded, you're not overbeared in how much you're carrying, and your horses are able to keep pace even in the mud quite well. So you managed to pass by without any issue.
Perfect time for Jules to kind of bring the party together and start to explain what exactly we need to do in Feldwin. So,
All right.
Nebula, you listening?
The floor
You
is
listening?
yours.
You listening, Nebula?
Oh, he's listening.
The floor is yours.
she'll take out the letter again, which has now been opened and closed very, very many times and is starting to take a bit of a toll. And she'll turn to the rest of the group and say, I should explain exactly why we're going to Feldwyn instead of just using the vagaries of task. I was given this letter by Achaidh?
Achaidh, yep.
By Achaidh, the drow we encountered, and I have to solve a dispute within Feldwyn, and she'll kind of hold the letter out and say, if you would like, you can read over this and see for yourself.
Jules holds out the letter.
I'll take a look at that. If nobody else is.
I'm just gonna lean over the shoulder, like down and over, like.
Birdie, is it okay if I post it into the Discord chat?
It's your letter.
Yeah.
There you go.
What up? I'm Jared. I'm 19.
So, for everybody in the chat, if anybody wasn't here for when the letter was read, one of your uncles, referring to Jules, has been involved in a dispute in Feldwyn, about 12 days south of here. A pair of killings on advantageous local officials have taken place, and the city's watchmaster is blaming them on a recent arrival, a red dragonborn from the Ashkeeper Peaks. The family reached out to your father, and he has tasked me with resolving the conflict, in whatever manner I deem necessary. I choose that manner to be you, Juliana. As you may well have guessed, the family would prefer your return, but allowing you to flourish in the world under some supervision is still an option, and I may be able to appease the family with these results should you succeed within the month. But the longer it takes, the higher the likelihood that someone else will be dispatched who lacks my compassionate nature.
Okay. So they're saying this Dragonborn might be the suspect, but they can't be too sure.
Seemingly, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Margot,
What?
are there many Dragonborns that roam these lands?
Depends on where you look.
All right.
So
That's all I can do. Just give it to someone else.
So the problem is we need to figure out who's doing these killings, and the only suspect we have is this Dragonborn. So we meet with this Dragonborn, figure out if they are or are not responsible for it and why they're doing it, if they are, I guess. And we go from there? Is that what we're planning on doing then?
I believe, yes. I may have to speak with that uncle. Would I know which uncle is based in Feldwyn?
You would. The uncle that is based in Feldwyn is... Sorry, got my list here. Zacharias.
Yeah, my follow-up question was going to be to Jules. Was, do you have any allies in this Feldwyn? Anyone that you trust personally?
Well, as the letter suggests, one of my uncles is there. However, I don't trust anyone of my family. So,
Smart.
no.
No friends? No one close at all? No one.
That's fine.
I had never left my home until recently, so no.
That's fine. We can make allies when we get there. Yeah.
I will likely have to speak with my uncle, Zacharias, I believe his name is, get his take on the matter and see how to resolve this.
How's the town's affliction towards Dragonborns to start with? Are they indifferent or... And just kind of gesturing like Do they like Dragonborns to start with, maybe, possibly?
Jules, roll a history check for me.
Roll for racism.
That
Pretty close.
is a nat 20 plus
Nat
6.
20. Okay. You
Super
know,
racist.
specifically of Felderwin, that the majority of, given obviously the training that you had to do outside of everything to do with the Spectre, this would be more just general knowledge, not of the family, but of cities, right? Kind of having to know at least the basics of some of the larger cities within the Empire. Felderwin is a primarily halfling city, followed by humans in terms of population density. There is a moderate dragonborn population, usually 5 to 10%, so it is a little bit higher than a lot of other cities. It's enough to the point that they are the third most populous race that exists there. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for a dragon to be walking down the streets, kind of unlike within Hupperduke or more or other cities that are, you know, primarily of the human race.
Yeah, so you guys, everyone will see as Jules sits and kind of like accesses her data banks in the back of her head, and then just flat is like, population is mostly halflings, followed by humans, and then by dragonborns. So I guess that dragonborns are relatively common.
Yes, common maybe, but do the people treat them with respect?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Just rattles off all the information, then is asked a question of an opinion, and I don't fucking know. I just
Whoa,
read this in a
whoa,
book.
Get out of here.
I was homeschooled and my parents did not teach me this lesson, okay?
That's exactly it. I can rattle you off a bunch of facts, but as soon as you ask how I'm feeling, what?
You sure you and Galahad aren't related, right? Just be very okay. Never mind.
All right. So, overall, though, Dragonborn probably not. Dragonborn probably not the most uncommon of races to be popping in there, but you're still not entirely sure. The letter just mentioned a couple of disappearances. The Watchmaster of the city, who is not related to the family in any way, seems to be blaming a recent arrival of a local Dragonborn.
Right.
What is Zacharias? What does he do in Feldwin?
He's somebody who likes to have a couple of fingers in a couple of pots. The city of Felderwin is, and again, we'll say with your history check on that as well. It's a halfling society, a lot of farming areas, a lot of cultivation, several hundred years. They've really just kind of dominated the farming space in terms of local fruit, vegetables, and animals and pastures. There has been a lot of attacks coming in from the Kryn dynasty. So one of the things, if you look at the map, there is kind of that ridge of mountains. Everything east of that, everything to the right of it, is all the Kryn dynasty, which are a lot of drow races that very much are at odds with the Empire at the moment. And with Felderwin being pretty close to those mountain peaks, they've been hit by a few Kryn raids, specifically targeting animals and targeting food sources and crops to try and burn out a lot of the things that are supplying the Empire, and specifically the military. So there is a fairly populated density of Crownsguard there, a little bit more than you would normally expect for a city of that type or a town of that type and size. As for your uncle, he kind of just has a hand in a couple of different pots. Everything that kind of comes through the city that's of any real interest, he definitely takes a note of. Any pieces that are captured from enemy soldiers. He usually likes to be involved in any kind of intelligence that's there. Tends to be on the good side of any local officials. Make sure that his pockets are a little bit empty and theirs are a little bit more full, as is the Fowler way, just to make sure that he's kept up to speed with any things of interest that are happening within the city. As for actual work, he doesn't really do any. The city itself doesn't lend itself to what the Fowlers do. He's somebody that you kind of know and you vaguely remember as a bit of a leech from the family, like taking the name and taking the money that is provided to him and just kind of making sure that his lifestyle is comfortable without ever really contributing much. Hence the ask coming to the family for you to then have to, for someone to have to come down and take care of something rather than him doing it himself.
Makes sense.
He's also
yeah.
single.
And ready to mingle.
Like a can of Pringles.
Jules will turn to the rest of the party and just kind of be like, we should keep in mind that my family isn't really one to be trifled with. If this goes badly, not only will I likely be taken home, but all of you could get into a bit of a hot spot. The Fowlers have hands in many things across the world.
Nebula notes that.
Yeah, of course you do.
Just jots that one down in the old suspect.
Noggin.
Suspect. Hashtag suspect.
So, with Jules sharing, a lot of you being brought up to speed on exactly not what is going to be need to be done by any stretch of the imagination, but at least a starting point to try and figure out what you're going to have to do once you all hit Felderwin. So, travel continues. 5th and 6th day, a little bit on the darker side, weather turning for the worse, but overall, nothing major happening. And the 7th day ends. Who would like to, for the 6th and 6th day, who would like to roll for the 7th and 8th days? Jules, Nebula, or Phelan? Jules.
Woo, I'll do
Jules got it.
Roll a d10 for me.
Jules.
And I almost picked up my D8. That's another 2.
That's another 2. The weather is still bad. It's getting a little bit worse. The roads are starting to get a little bit more muddy. You are getting further and further away from not civilization per se, but industry. You're definitely getting into more farmland, a lot of rolling hills. It's getting a little bit tougher for the wagon to pull up. You're not losing any time. You're still maintaining pace. All of you able to stay on the road and kind of assist as where you can of people who have had their wagons get fallen off to the side of where the road is the driest. But still, without any major issue, pushing your way through on the 7th and 8th days, you come to the final day of travel. Last person, Phelan or Nebula, who wants to roll it?
This is gonna be it. This is gonna be the one.
You wake up dead.
Do it up.
What'd you say, Phelan?
I said I could roll it.
Yeah, do it.
Do it up. D10, bud.
That's a 4.
That's a 4. The final day is the worst day. The heaviest rain, the hardest beating of all of the rain coming down. Lightning cracks off in the distance. The wagon sliding in off the road every once in a while. The horse is barely able to keep up with how deep the mud is, and you're kind of hearing the as all the hooves are lifting through it. But it would normally be a half speed for you to be able to get there. But given it's your last day, you are able to push through as the lightning is cracking, the rain is breaking over the sky, rain is falling, lightning cracking over the sky. The city of Felderwin begins to come into view. Closing in on the final day, the last couple of hours of travel, the sprawling hills of fertile farmland are dotted with houses, stables, barns. Given how thick the rain is at the moment, not a lot of farmers out in the fields, not pulling any crops, wanting to just kind of let the rain do its thing and wait for a brighter day to be able to go out and actually pull anything from the ground. Another hour or so traveling by, the houses here are so far apart. The farmland's so massive that it takes at least another 2 to 3 hours of traveling from when you start to see any kind of homesteads until the city itself begins to come into view. And the city is pretty basic. You see a fairly small stone bridge over what is now a little bit of an overflowing river. A couple of bags piled up along the side to make sure that it isn't going too far into the farmlands. But the bridge makes its way over towards a central tower, kind of a large clock tower, seeming to be some kind of a temple of some kind with a very high steepled roof. Lots of thatch roofs on houses, reinforced with bits of tar and tarps to make sure that nothing is able to stick and the rain doesn't soak through into the homesteads. It's the definition of quiet small town. Just a really big guard presence. You see a lot of Crown's Guard dotting a very empty landscape. Nothing else really there but off in any given distance, a couple 100 feet apart, a single guard, drenched to the bone, full armor on display, just rain pattering off of it. You're hearing the tink, 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 tink of the rain hitting the metal.
Les Paul is vibing in the rain right now.
Yeah.
He's loving it.
Unless you do see that there is a very nice makeshift moat, almost, with how heavy the rain has been over the last couple of days, that's kind of encircling the city, and this bridge that's going over it that is quite a wide one. You would imagine you'd be able to get 3, maybe 4 abreast of wagons being able to cross over it, but it would be quite the swan dive if you were to make it.
I want to jump into that juicy pool of water, please.
Alrighty.
Please, no.
So, with all of you pushing your way across the bridge, Les, do you actually want to jump?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I love the water.
I make sure that my Crown's Guard badge is very visible.
So you kind of pushing the way out front, riding atop this massive Clydesdale. You're going from a city of short people to a city of even shorter people. Halflings being a little bit shorter than gnomes, definitely a little bit more lithe as well. You are the largest things a long ways around. The Crown's Guard are definitely tall, majority of them being human, half-elf, couple of dragonborn here and there, but nothing really standing out as a massive individual, but unlike yourself, an 8-foot tall metal man riding a 10.5-foot tall Clydesdale horse. This is a real sight to be seen for this city. And as you guys begin to push your way in, kind of cresting the very top of the bridge, lest you find the apex point of where it is at its highest, go ahead and make an athletics check for me.
Hell yeah, sucker. That is an unnatural 20. 15 plus 5.
Nice.
Let's go.
You swan dive off of the edge of that, armor on, straight into the water, and all of you just kind of see a little bit of a
sploop.
Fairly large splash. You don't completely vanish underneath it, but you are in your element. It is
I
dark.
hold up a sign that says 9.
It is dark. It is cold. The occasional fish swims by, seeming that the river connects through to a lake that seems to be a decent number of salmon and trout that are kind of making their way up. You kind of instinctively swimming through, take a couple of laps, and with that 20 as well, a little bit on the slower side and kind of taking your moment, choosing it wisely, holding still for a second, and then you just dart forward and grab a fish right out of the water and just crush into it underneath the ground.
They're the best when they're fresh!
And all of you just hear coming out from the water underneath. But you eventually find your way up to one of the side banks, an area where the sandbags aren't piled high enough that you can't pull yourself out.
Oh, wait.
Yeah?
Because it's one of my most useless features that I never get to really do unless it's in very specific circumstances.
Okay.
Baby, it's the best.
I want to do my Emissary of the Sea feature and communicate simple ideas with beasts that could breathe water.
Damn, you already
Oh
ate
God,
that.
he's killing me.
All right, communicate your idea. Remember, you tried this before, and you tried to have a sentence conversation.
I tried to do something way too complicated.
Hey guys, it's
This
me,
is
Les
easy.
Paul of the Triton race, and there's these guys coming
Yeah,
through.
no, I won't do that. I'm like swimming and I'm trying to impress my new friend. And as I'm like diving around and doing this cool shit and got this fish in my mouth, I just want to tell every fish in this pond to jump.
Okay. So you just kind of send out this message as you're biting into this one fish, and you just realize,
Hang on, this would be kind of cool. Jump!
and you just kind of see them, and like a lot of them just dart and all kind of look at you at the same time. Go and make a persuasion check for me.
Damn.
0.
You said, I'm
So
biting into your homie, but you better jump right now.
4.
4. All the fish just kind of look at you, look at the fish that you're tucking into as you telepathically tell them to jump, and all of them just kind of go and split off in all the different directions.
Gotta work on that.
But you finish tucking into your meal. A good minute or two passes, and you eventually find a bit of the bank that you're able to scramble up. That isn't piled too high with any of the sandbags, and you're able to kind of pull yourself up onto the other side and shake off some of the water. But you definitely appreciate the bit of cold and the fact that it's raining as heavily as it is, the water is not going to be an uncommon thing. People would expect you to be wet in this rain anyway. So
It's like Superman in the sunshine, just rejuvenated.
So all of you having seen this, did you want to stop the wagon or did you want to continue on?
I would have probably stopped out of concern.
All right.
It's been like 2 minutes. Is he all right?
That music that's playing is in my head.
Oh yeah, no, I had that image in my head too. Just like, oh yeah, he's loving this.
So with all
It's
of
like
you,
holy. He's having a holy moment.
so with all of you seeing Les kind of vanish into this very dark water, and especially with all the ripples, there's no way to see what's happening underneath the water. But a good 2 minutes later, not that far away from the bridge. It's not like he swam like 300, 400 meters or anything crazy. But
Although I could.
you could have. But
I don't know,
fairly
I'm gonna
close
try
to the
it.
bridge because you know that you want to at least get back within and head into the city with the group. You kind of pull yourself up onto the side and very quickly hustle your way back up and jog up onto the side and then jump back into the back of the wagon, just sopping wet, water everywhere. But refreshed. Back in your
Can I
own
use
place.
gust of wind to dry myself off?
I will allow it. You hop into the wagon, you take gust, and you just go, and like a personal, what's it called? Personal hand dryer, hand blower. You just top down yourself.
Full on blow wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Worth it.
But you only are able to get your front, so your back is still a little wet because you can't angle it correctly. But at least from the front, you are looking mostly dry.
Good.
Alrighty. So everybody pushing your way further in towards the city. Jules, I'm assuming you would be driving at this point, trying to figure out where you're heading. Alrighty.
Yeah. At some point when we pass, probably just somebody, Jules will lean over and go, would you happen to know where I could find Zacharias Fowler?
And you see a woman, probably late 70s or so for halflings again, kind of middle-aged, just kind of look up to you and, oh yes, yeah, down the road, 20, 30 houses, you'll see it. And just kind of
Thank you.
wanders off, and you know that look.
Yeah.
You follow the road down, and it kind of curves a little bit through, and the city itself seems to have kind of like one main through road, just really driving through the center, and the occasional little angled alley that would allow you to go to some of the different houses in the different villages, in the different homesteads. You see a couple of different signs. You see some penmanship writing signs as well. You would imagine there are a series of bookstores, a lot of different farming stores as well. You see the little like almost bird houses that are full of fresh fruits and vegetables of people just wandering by, dropping a coin in and grabbing specific things. Kind of a very communal market style. Obviously, everybody adhering to the unwritten rules of don't take something that you don't pay for. But if any of you wanted any kind of fresh fruit or fresh little bits of dried fruit or obviously any kind of breads, those are all available as you're walking through. Kev, you very much get the idea that this is Salt Spring.
Ah,
Right.
yes.
Just a
It's a
se-
hippie town.
Yeah, it's a hippie town. It is very much a place of just a lot of communal sharing and kind of pushing your way down. It feels quite nice. And then, Jules, you see the mansion. This ostentatious light gray stone that with the rain hitting it is just very, very darkening. Is very, very beautiful in certain angles for the people who appreciate that kind of thing, like rain being channeled into gutters that then splashes against a white marble wall, turning it just a little bit off color, and then having a pattern that's inlaid into the wall that only appears because it's made of wax and the rain drips past it for the Fowler crest on the outside of the home. Like, it is the definition of ostentatious. But clearly a member of the family wanting to show the city what his stature is. You would imagine that would be the home of Zacharias Fowler.
Jules will let out an exasperated sigh and turn to the rest of the group and say, I forgot to mention while here, please don't refer to me as Jules. Please call me Juliana Fowler.
Okay.
Good lord, I didn't know you were loaded.
Music's just going off in his head. He's like, oh yeah, jewels. I can have my own pool. I can hear the gears turning in Les Paul's head.
Yeah. Jules just kind of is like, yeah.
Alrighty. So pushing your way towards the house, Zacharias and the Fowler estate in full view. That's going to be where we pick up next week.
Hey!
A successful shopping and shipping episode, everybody. Good job.
Yeah, that was
Job.
the most well done overland travel I think I've ever had.
It was nice. You guys dodged the unlucky rolls. There were a couple of them. But yeah, some nice doubled up ones of some very nice sunny days, a little bit darker, and then a bit of a slow travel on the third day, but pulling in just before the evening hit. You would be able to clear it in the 9 days.
I adopted a child, and I said I wouldn't adopt a child.
You and Les both adopted a child.
True.
For very different reasons.
I taught child how to use knife.
The classic. I feel like that would be what like you, Yerpy, would actually do. Like,
Oh, 100%.
like one of your aunts brings like their 12-year-old over and you're like, hey, you ever thrown an axe before? Just like pull out hatchets and start throwing them at trees.
I spent the last week with my family friend's child who's 10, and that's basically what we did.
Oh my god, no wonder you were
Fucking
so
called it.
attuned to like what to do and say.
Yeah.
How to get children excited. Awesome. Well, I hope I played a good 12-year-old for you guys.
You were very good. Very good.
100%, yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you, everybody in chat. We appreciate you guys sticking through our break. Nice, long, kind of chill episode. Because you sure as hell didn't get that on Monday from Kevin.
Nope.
Talking about? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We are going to go ahead and dive into our full chapter of the next part of the story next week. No, 2 weeks, because we are taking 2 weeks off. So we're going to be back for the Phaelai. What is that going to be? March 10th?
Yeah, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
Correct. So super stoked to come back, really get a little bit more into the Fowler side of things, be able to see what this Dragonborn's doing in the city, give you guys a little bit of a mystery to solve. Alrighty. Thanks, chat.
Scooby-Doo
Love you guys.
guys.
Everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys back here soon.
Bye.
Bye.